Black technology, building a lightsaber starting from a graduation project. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction, so don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 401 Red Dragon Number 1. Not long after the official release of the declassified Xu Teng news, the High Priest also took action through the internet, forced other media around the world to broadcast their news in the face of those suppressed videos. The High Priest did not explain. Instead, the focus is on the published base news. Yes, we did get a series of technological support from the god of death, to be precise. Through rituals, our technology was updated. As we all know, the Reaper civilization is an interstellar civilization. We are the most loyal subordinates of Lord Reaper. The kind Lord Reaper announced wormhole technology, interstellar spaceship technology and a series of technologies far beyond the Blue Star civilization to us. In a short period of time, our technology has been super developed. Now, even in the face of beautiful countries, we will not be in a state of being beaten at all. Of course, our ultimate goal is not to stop the beautiful country. To be honest, we have never put them in our eyes. The most important thing is to welcome the arrival of death. Here, I just emphasize that the civilization of death is always the fairest, and those sacrificed are only those who have failed internally. And you, as long as you join, you will definitely be able to evolve, because we have mastered the method of evolution, which is 100% completely free of side effects. For this reason, I would like to explain one sentence. Only by joining us can you ensure your safety in the future. Lord Death will never attack you. Pen Fun Library. As for other countries, hey, you'll find out when you see it. The words of the High Priest were brief and not long. It took less than 10 minutes from the beginning of the invasion to the end of the invasion, but in this short period of time, everyone was stunned. The first aspect is, why after so long, the Death God civilization still invades wherever it wants to invade. Except for the Dragon Kingdom, the terrifying memory of the Death God just descended was awakened by everyone. The second aspect is, everything the High Priest explained today is really the same as the data released by the Dragon Kingdom. With the support of Death God technology, there are several bases, and the goal is to develop towards interstellar civilization, and then, everyone couldn't help but make a side-by-side comparison. Others can enter the base to detect secret information. Even the crack was released, but what is the beautiful country still doing? The establishment of a frontier military base. Such a thing. You have spent so much time without building it, isn't it? The most powerful military power in Blue Star. That's it. This level. Pen Fun Library. I'm afraid it's not the end of the calf. Why can't we even build a military base? But others can even crack the top secret information, and even have the courage to publish it. Different from the high profile approval trend some time ago, the keyboard warriors of the beautiful country began to type on the keyboard. Even if it is announced, the High Priest should not attack the Dragon Kingdom. Because they have mechas, space-based weapons, and even spaceships. But what about us? We can only be beaten. Yo-yo-yo, the siege is finished. The army of the living dead is defeated. The army of the living dead is finished. The sacrifice is defeated. On how the waste is produced. Look, we'll do it. Others make high-profile announcements of top-secret information, so that all of us are on guard. We make high-profile announcements of military operations, so that everyone in the world can see how we get beaten in a fancy way. I have to say that when the netizens in the beautiful country start things, they also compete with the netizens in China at this time. Domestic netizens are all laughing and blooming. Everyone, go over the wall to see what foreign netizens have to say. Really? Nima laughed at me. Ha ha ha, my god, this is your own racial talent, rap? Love, deserving it, envy them. Who told us to have academicians who here? Mecha, I heard that mass production will be available soon. Hey, you said that the starship should be under construction now. That's not right. Maybe it's a fighter type with super attack power. If you say this, I won't be sleepy anymore. Will there be a Cosmos-level flagship at that time? SHHH, keep your voice down, or the netizens in the beautiful country will cry with envy and tears will flow out of their mouths. As netizens speculated, Xu Teng is indeed working on a space fighter, Red Dragon 1, conceived although it was a reward blueprint from Xing. Xu Teng found that all blueprints have one characteristic. that they can be re-engineered. The unlocked drawings all have a minimum quality, but if you have inspiration for transformation, through automatic retrieval, the quality of drawings will be automatically upgraded. Now it's a golden quality blueprint. While looking at the schematic diagram of the fighter, Xu Teng pondered he had a successful modification, transforming the gold quality blueprint into purple gold blueprint. It is to upgrade a series of principles. Actually, it's not that difficult. Xu Teng has all kinds of knowledge reserves, as well as the bonus effect of badges. Those effects that affect others have all been added to oneself also. It is permanent. In terms of energy, Milovsky particles can be used. After all, it is originally used for anti-gravity research. It is very useful to use on the sanctioner mecha, and it can also be applied to space fighters. On the other hand, the ratio of materials must be able to resist the attack of the spaceship from the High Priest. The defense of the God of Death was broken by the space-based weapon made by Xingchen Iron. From a certain point of view, it was already a successful example spaceship. No matter how strong it is, it will never be stronger than the defense of the God of Death. Xinghu, replace all the materials of the outer layer of the Red Dragon #1. This time, we used the technology of Xingchen Iron. Goodly, the simulator layer of Red Dragon #1 began to appear on the virtual screen. It has to be said that the first impression of the model is indeed related to the type of carrier aircraft to which it belongs. Even just looking at the images of the simulator layer gives a chilling impact. The streamlined fuselage minimizes the air pressure received. The location of the ship's weapons, just looking at it makes people tingle in the scalp. If it really wants to fight, the current mainstream models will lose confidence even if they see it. The black coating is continuously rendered on the shell of the Red Dragon #1. At first glance, it gives the impression of being restrained, and a big killer star iron is able to absorb light, and when it is fully activated, people can't help but ignore it. If it was in the past, Xu Teng would naturally keep a low profile today. Xinghu constantly feeds back relevant information on the internet. This time, we want a high-profile attack the High Priest and give the Chinese people a strong confidence. Xinghu, paint the exterior red. Chapter 402 Red Dragon #1 Context Research. Goodly as a savvy artificial intelligence, it is very clear how to make the operator happy. One after another rays of light covered the Red Dragon's fighter. The moment the rays of light disappeared, Xu Teng's eyes lit up. The black star iron at first really made the Red Dragon #1 low-key. If you don't look carefully, it is easy to ignore in the interstellar environment, but once you put on the red paint, the overall feeling has changed. The high-spirited nose is like a raised faucet. Dazzling red, people cannot take their eyes away. Even in the dim interstellar background, it is the most shining light. Guru, Xinghu swallowed his saliva cooperatively to express his expectations for the Red Dragon #1. Academician Su, this, so handsome. In fact, not only Xinghu, but even Xu Teng was surprised. Why do some models, at first glance, hang in the sky? And take a closer look, I still underestimate them. Pen Interest Library. Xu Teng rubbed his chin and thought, could it be that it is not only the model that hangs the High Priest in terms of actual function, but also the appearance of the Death God civilization? Let them know what is called the best local scientific research technology. A humming sounded when it was over. Xinghu's very emotional voice reappeared. Red Dragon #1 successfully passed the test, and the technology of Xingchen Iron is perfectly adapted to the model of Red Dragon #1. Sure enough, hearing Xinghu's explanation, Xu Teng was not surprised. When technology is on the rise, materials, energy, and various front-end industries have reached a point where they can easily lift weights. The spaceship must not be able to use the previous energy anymore. Otherwise, even wanting to fly into space is not an easy task while taking damage. You must not be able to use the previous materials. Otherwise, a single blow will pierce the entire plane. Not to mention, when the production line is carried out, the artificial intelligence must be upgraded in nature. If you want to develop into an interstellar civilization, artificial intelligence upgrades and iterations are a must. The flagship of the 100 million ton level will not start at least 100 years by manual assembly. The flagship has not yet been built, and civilization will be gone, but the rewards for those tasks that River opened have sent something. Milovsky particle equipment, star iron technology, starlight. To a certain extent, everything was planned secretly from the very beginning because the galaxy was once conquered by the God of Death. So faced with a potential civilization, paved the way from the beginning. Otherwise, all these pre-technologies have created a good situation, which is really surprising. Hey, when the galaxy wakes up in the future, let's ask again. But fortunately, There are these pre-tech bonuses, otherwise it would not be easy to create Red Dragon number 1, Xinghu, mobilize a part of the production line in the mechanic methyl land, issue the blueprint of the Red Dragon number 1, and let the base be responsible for manufacturing. Okay, the order here was only issued, and the scientific research staff in the base received the production order. This, so fast. The blueprint released by Xinghu is a space fighter. I saw it just now and it's true, and the paint on the outside is very flamboyant. I can't wait to tell everyone about this model. Hey, what are you thinking? This is the high-profile propaganda of academician Xu. Have you all forgotten those remarks on the internet today? There is a powerful artificial intelligence benefit in this piece, being able to see all aspects of the world at any time today. The researchers in the base already have a regular entertainment program that is to watch the keyboard warriors of the beautiful country, and they are all powerful on the internet. The ridicule one by one almost made everyone laugh to death. It's just that the civilization we have to face is not just an interstellar civilization at the level of death. The staff at the base, relatively speaking, do know a little more information. The high priest is backed by the interstellar civilization of the god of death. And the beautiful country is backed by the interstellar civilization of the kingdom of Mandu. If you really want to be ruthless, the background of the two civilizations is stronger than today's Blue Star, just to see if the civilization behind them is really willing to invest a lot of scientific research costs. After all, a subsidiary civilization is too powerful, which is not a good thing for the main civilization. It's okay. The surrounding staff stepped forward and patted the former's shoulder. Since academician Xu served as the chief engineer of the General Direction of Scientific Research, when have we lost? This sentence sounds extraordinarily arrogant, but in reality, it is indeed the case. Space-based weapons. The Punisher Mecha, every step is to move forward steadily. Even a space fighter like the Red Dragon number 1, isn't it launched immediately? Other researchers will always have something they are not good at, but they have changed in Xu Teng's body not good at? I'm sorry, but I'm an all-around scientific researcher. Compared with scientific research and technology, when have we lost? Ha. Yes. If you hadn't reminded me, I would have almost forgotten. Long history. For 5,000 years, we have been truly enslaved. It never existed before, and there will never be one in the future. The god of death? I can go on a horse. The tradition of our dragon kingdom is to kill gods. With the body of a mortal, we can compete with gods. Yes, not only that, maybe we can also be promoted to gods in the future. Technology is the kind of gods. Compared with the high atmosphere of the mechanized land, the atmosphere of the beautiful country is much heavier. Although Xu Teng's information was declassified in China, Xu Teng did not give Xinghu an order. He said that he should block all of them. Then, the media of beautiful country naturally also accepted Xu Teng's information at this time. The big guys gathered together, and the expressions on their faces were particularly embarrassing. No. With just such a person, all of our technology has been crushed, and at such a young age, the future scientific research career is still long. Tada! The sound of tapping on the desktop sounded, and everyone turned to look at the top boss of the beautiful country. The latter spoke with an angry tone. What the hell is going on with you? Even a forward military base can't come up, but what has been done on the opposite side? Mecha. The base of the living dead. The secret base of the High Priest's territory, and even the research on the interstellar spaceship and the wormhole bridge that the High Priest wants to carry out, has been dug up. And what about you? Apart from publicizing military activities in a high-profile manner in the media every day, what useful things have you done? In the end, our technology is the most backward. Modern warfare, how to fight this? Blue Star, how should we unify? Chapter 403 Simulation Experiment. When the boss said these words, the atmosphere suddenly became awkward. Everyone present knew that the beautiful country was a subsidiary civilization, and it was ultimately to open up territory for the kingdom of Mandu. But now, it's not just the death god civilization that can't beat it. It seems that even the local civilization of Blue Star can't beat it. You suddenly say this, it's a little bad. Otherwise, explain the situation to Mandu Divine Kingdom. Even if the High Priest and the others submitted an application for a technological update to the Death God civilization and received assistance, they were ahead of us. Yes, there is an interstellar level civilization behind others. We lose, but we won't be ashamed. As for the sanctioner Metzja on the Dragon countryside, as well as the research on the interstellar spaceship and wormhole technology behind it, they have been selectively ignored by them. There is no need to talk about unimportant things. Besides, after all, you only won a small part. Can you still win in every collision? Impossible. I will never lose again unless you hang up behind your back in the face of many eyes. The handsome country boss still made a compromise because, that is indeed the case if they don't apply for assistance, they really won't be able to fight. However, there is a vague feeling the information locator of one do divine kingdom's transmission technology may just assemble some eliminated technologies on it, the real top technology. They can't transmit it in this secret war. They will lose in the end. No, this kind of thought absolutely cannot appear. Dragon Kingdom, how could technology develop so fast and defeat the interstellar civilization behind it? Absolutely not exist. Getting up, looking at the many expectant eyes, the handsome country boss coughed lightly. Okay, I'll go and apply for assistance, but, turning to stare at everyone, I hope I will never hear such a request again. Clear, that's for sure. Dragon Country, Mechanized Land, a laboratory somewhere. Xu Teng is staring at Xinghu's industrial program report. A mature assembly line has many inspection standards. Specifically, from the first procedure to the last procedure, it is necessary to meet the requirements of industrial production process. The more complex the product, the more processes it needs to go through. No one hoped that the Red Dragon #1 just went to the sky, and it exploded directly in the sky. Xinghu's voice has been broadcasting next to it. There is no problem with the power source, and the physical simulation is being prepared, and the relevant pressure-resistant environment has been constructed. The star iron has been smelted and is being smeared. From the simulation experiment, everything is fine. Self-inspection is underway, and all potential safety hazards have been eliminated. The interstellar environment has been successfully simulated, and the first-generation machine of Red Dragon #1 has been established. Do you want to start the experiment? With a complete industrial assembly line, it is different. Of course, there must be a sufficiently powerful artificial intelligence. With the addition of the two, the production speed is no longer the same as when the Sanctioner Mecha was originally produced. At that time, it took 3 days for the 5 Sanctioner Mechas to complete the self-inspection of all of them, and now, in the past 2 hours, the first-generation machine of the Red Dragon #1 was produced. Looking at the first-generation Red Dragon #1 machine on the screen, Xu Teng manually matched each item one by one. Even if Xinghu's computing power is beyond imagination, Xu Teng has not thrown away the spirit of artificial final detection for some things. It is really necessary to carefully compare them to be able to feel at ease. No errors. Let's simulate. Clear. Boom! A loud noise began to sound. The experimental site was closed, and all the equipment began to operate. When a weapon is produced, it generally goes through 2 stages. One is to simulate first to see if problems can be found and to eliminate all kinds of hidden dangers that have not been encountered. When the simulation experiment is successful, the physical test will be carried out. Take the fighter jets on the Blue Star as an example. Every new generation of fighter jets in the main battle mode must be tested by experienced pilots. First, complete various task indicators during the test flight to judge whether the expected experimental effect can be achieved. At the same time, various safety issues are being ruled out, and the journey of the test flight will not be easy. Some teachers even gave their lives for it, not to mention the epic-making space fighters such as the Red Dragon 1. Others are God's Kong, but its goal is to fight in space, and its target is the Death God technology with interstellar civilization. Thump thump thump. Batches of simulants hit the surface of the Red Dragon #1. When it was originally designed, it was positioned to withstand the impact of small space junk. Of course, in the actual battle, the Red Dragon #1 will not really face the impact directly because Xu Teng also has a technology, the expansion technology of the plasma shield to be precise. When the Red Dragon #1 fights in the future, there will be a layer of shield to protect it. The only downside compared to the Sanctioner is that it takes a little more energy to carry when assembling. Of course, this little bit of disadvantage can be completely omitted. The core technology is in the hands of Xu Teng. With sufficient resources, we can build it how we want. Let everyone know that the local civilization of Blue Star is full of potential. Even the so-called interstellar civilization is nothing more than this. The damage from the impact starts to increase in strength. The graph is being drawn. The drawing is complete. The laboratory is conducting an impact test, and Xinghu has mapped all the data. The whole is a series of coordinate axes. The x-axis is the impact strength, the y-axis is the withstand strength, and the degree of recovery of the Red Dragon #1. The advantages of star iron are now fully reflected. Not only can it resist various impacts, but the metal on the surface also has a specific memory function. It can automatically recover, as long as it is not subjected to devastating impact. The recovery rate is very fast. This is why Xu Teng discovered the advantages of Xingchen iron, because in the previous special military operations, even Xu Teng's ion energy shield could not be broken. let alone the star iron on the surface of the sanctioner on the plotting curve. The value of the x-axis has been increasing, but the data at the y-axis has not increased proportionally. On the contrary, it has also decreased at a certain moment. What's going on? Xu Teng is a little curious about this phenomenon. Dear, according to the analysis, when zinc and iron receives a certain amount of cumulative damage, it can speed up its own recovery rate. Hearing this sentence, Xu Teng was stunned because the symbolic meaning behind this is a lot. Chapter 404, the beginning of interstellar civilization. In general, even memory metals have certain limitations. For example, beyond a certain tolerance limit, the recovery rate is reduced, or even directly turned into a pile of rubbish. But under Xinghu's simulation experiment, the zinc and iron that built the Red Dragon No. 1 can actually recover faster when the damage is heavier in the face of large-scale wars. Often a key point can change the current battle. If it is a particularly important location, it may be able to spread radiation and affect the entire battle only. Now is not the most critical time to study star iron. Xinghu, record today's research data, summarize it, and analyze it later. Okay, boom boom. The simulation experiment has entered the final testing stage. The printed data image is still so silky and below the warning line. Looking at the first generation Red Dragon 1 machine in the laboratory, Xu Teng felt a little excited in his heart. The group of researchers is a little different from ordinary people. The main idea is, I hope that a cross-generational product will appear, and then guide the life of the entire human being, whether it's the sanctioner mecha or the space fighter of the Red Dragon No. 1. As a male scientific researcher, it is irresistible. The DNA molecules in the blood have always advocated this kind of aesthetics that can show the top strength of a single soldier. Is it cool to drive a sports car? Of course, cool, but how can it be cool to open a sanctioner mecha and a starship? The current Red Dragon No. 1 has really allowed the civilization of Blue Star to set off from the planetary civilization to the interstellar. Moreover, it is the kind of courage that will never look back. An era was started by Xu Teng. Suddenly, he remembered what Li Rongshen, the former boss of the Weapons Design Institute, said to him. In time, Xu Teng will definitely be the leader of scientific research in the new era. In less than a year, the interstellar era has really appeared. Ding. All the simulation experiments have been tested. Do you want to carry out the actual test? Now that the situation is tense, Xu Teng has set broad goals. When the Honglong No. 1 simulation experiment was completed, the actual measurement was carried out immediately. If there is no problem, build the production line of Honglong No. 1 and put it into mass production as soon as possible. Maybe, interstellar war. The first shot is about to go off. Whether it is the High Priest or the beautiful country, they are all staring around. Test it now. As Xu Teng spoke, he walked towards the Red Dragon No. 1. Okay, approaching step by step, the laboratory under the control of Xinghu slowly opened the surrounding protective equipment. Usually, the actual measurement is usually carried out by professional pilots, and a series of goals are completed during the period to achieve the expected function of the design. However, Xu Teng is not an ordinary person. The design drawings of Red Dragon 1, Xu Teng has changed some. With a strong memory, he is very familiar with each of the above components. Of course, for safety, Xu Teng also made a certain amount of changes on the original version of Red Dragon 1. The seat and control room have been changed so that he can also operate while wearing the sanctioner. That way, even in the event of an accident, with the thickness of the sanctioner's armor and the shield, Xu Teng's safety can also be completely guaranteed. If someone else is wearing a sanctioner mecha, it will indeed be a bit difficult to go to operate the Red Dragon No. 1. However, Xu Teng is different. Others are all around scientific researchers with intermediate mecha power. Even advanced mecha power has it, but it needs certain triggering conditions. Rumble, the ceiling above the laboratory is open from both sides, which is the originally designed passage. In this way, there is no need to use a vehicle to pull the Red Dragon No. 1 out. Save time. The movement alarmed all the researchers in the mechanized ground. What's the matter? Earthquake? What nonsense are you talking about? Xinghu just announced a notice. Red Dragon No. 1 is going to be tested. Fuck. It's actually measured, so fast. If it is successful, doesn't it mean that we are about to enter the interstellar society? This sentence instantly hit everyone's heart. The reason why Reaper technology gives the people on Blue Star a heavy point is that others are interstellar civilizations. If the space fleet really arrives, it can strike us through the atmosphere. In the so-called planetary civilization, few weapons can strike the enemy fleet beyond the atmosphere. This gap is the most disappointing. But today, the test flight of the Red Dragon No. 1 is about to further narrow this gap with Xinghu's level of artificial intelligence. As long as it succeeds, It is not far from mass production, not to mention the future research on wormhole technology. There are also super soldiers who use super gene fluid for genetic optimization properly. Bright future. Ha, cool, isn't it? The god of death. Under the leadership of academician Xu, one day, we will beat you hard. It's just relief. Countdown to the test flight. 10. Xu Teng, sitting in the control room, took a deep breath and began to calm down. Xinghu, has there been any action from the high priest recently? There is no news from Anzi for the time being. Do you need to use it? Well, if the test flight is successful for a while, use Anzi. Okay, Xu Teng's idea is quite simple. Because the high priest has the technological support of the death god civilization, in all aspects, the progress of the experiment will be faster. It can be inferred from the research of the living dead base, whether it is the control of the sacrifice to the group or the research of mythical creatures. The experimental period used by the other party is not long, even one sentence. Amazing progress cannot be overstated. Since there is one scientific research base that will have this kind of experimental speed, there is a high probability that other scientific research bases will also have this kind of experimental speed this time, the test flight. Except in the case of the success of the experiment, there is also another purpose. That is, can we knock down one or two of the interstellar spaceships on the high priest's side? After all, actual combat is the best detection method. Countdown to flight test. 0. Boom. When the engine of the Red Dragon number 1 started, it vibrated in the next second. Calm was restored immediately. In self-checking, the energy core is normal, the wings are normal, the program is normal. Whether to take off. The red-painted Red Dragon 1 slowly faced the sun and began to rise from the base. Different from the way other planes take off, Honglong number 1 rises in a straight line. It's all about anti-gravity engines. Not only that, the vibration time is not too big at this time. All the scientific researchers at the base looked at this brilliant red with excitement. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 405, Interstellar Era. After all, the meaning of the symbol of Red Dragon number 1 is too important. From this moment, the technology of planetary civilization began to transform into interstellar civilization. You said, today will be successful. A senior scientific researcher with white hair, leaning on a cane, watched the Red Dragon begin to take off. Their generation is the predecessor who built the industrial foundation for the Dragon Kingdom. Without them, long ago's technology would not know how many years it would take to get on the right track. In the past, fighter jets were tested. Somewhat hesitant, no one can guarantee 100% success. Alan Tam, who was standing beside him, explained with a smile, "Old Chen, don't worry. With academicians who here, today is no different. Others, be careful." Chen Lao heard the words, turned his head to look at Tan Yonglin, and seemed to be relieved. "You are solid in your work. You have said so. It seems that today, I don't have to worry about it anymore." "Yes, don't worry. Our new generation, under the leadership of academician Xu, can be strong. We will never lose a war." Looking at the high-spirited Red Dragon number 1, everyone had an idea in their hearts. Fly, go to higher place. Atmosphere, outer space, universe. Red Dragon number 1 is rising steadily and is about to enter the atmosphere. Yes, continue autopilot. Today's Xinghu has long been different from what it used to be. The powerful computing power can already cover all major cities in the country, and many key cities have secretly used Xinghu's computing power for monitoring. Use the saved computing power elsewhere. For example, weapons production, aerospace manufacturing, and Xinghu is not just an auxiliary combat system used in the sanctioner mecha. The first-generation machine of Red Dragon number 1 was also monitored by Xinghu. Autonomous navigation is one of the symbols of interstellar civilization. With Xinghu's computing power, it is completely adaptable. Go ahead, autopilot. This time, not only was the Red Dragon 1 tested, but Xinghu's computing power was also the subject of the test. The main difference between interstellar voyage and low-altitude voyage is that the difference in computing power is not one level. Flying at low altitude, facing other flights, and the occasional bird flock and other disturbances in interstellar travel. In the complex in an interstellar environment, various things will happen. For example, the movement of celestial bodies, the trajectories of meteorites, and the cosmic garbage in it. and the calculation and placement of wormhole jumps will be involved in the future. Every slight change may involve operations on the order of nearly 100 million terabytes after the fact. Automatic navigation is also a point that interstellar civilization must break through. Therefore, Xu Teng will pay special attention to it. Clear a piece of calculation trajectory fell on the screen in front, that is a flight running not far away. This time, Xu Teng did not issue an air ban. It is to deliberately increase the difficulty of Xinghu's calculation. As the altitude continued to climb, the surrounding environment began to change. There will never be the same plane again. It is breaking through the atmosphere and flying to outer space. Breaking through the atmosphere requires a certain speed. In technical terms, this velocity is escape velocity, also known as getting rid of the gravitational speed of the blue star. The previous spacecraft entering space, facing the pull of gravity, has always been the most important thing because many examples of spaceflight failures fall on top of this level. The speed will increase, the pressure will increase, and the material coating on the surface of the spacecraft will be tested. The friction is constantly increasing, and from a distance, the outside of the spacecraft can be seen like a fireball. At this point, the slightest bit of negligence can lead to the destruction of the machine. The most famous example is when a screw was not tightened. The fixed surface was not in place, and the pressure suddenly increased, which in turn caused a certain amount of loss to the entire spacecraft. In the end, the expansion became, and the entire spacecraft was directly blown up. None of the problems mentioned above will appear on the Red Dragon 1. The energy it uses is an anti-gravity engine, which itself is used on the sanctioner mecha. The surface coating, but the star iron technology when assembling, it is not artificial, but the super-artificial intelligence of Xinghu. Xinghu's computing power has been able to control the mass production of sanctioners, and by the way, it also manages the cities of the entire country. Problems, it doesn't exist. If you think about it this way, you are simply underestimating the super-powerful artificial intelligence of the universe like galaxy. A small part of the window plate on the screen, you can see the situation outside the Dragon 1. The coating on the surface is constantly catching fire, but the hardness of the material is not affected in the slightest. In some places, there is a tendency to bend outward, but the next second, it immediately returns to normal. Xingchen's memory attribute is really strong. Xinghu, record it well. Okay, just now, Xu Teng saw Xingchen's memory malleability, and suddenly had some ideas. For example, making a batch of drones, suicidal because of the malleability of memory, it must be able to withstand a large number of fire attacks. Finally, appear in front of the enemy, basically intact. Then release those firepower attacks that you have endured. Well, the power must be spectacular. Xu Teng rubbed his chin and thought. Has broken through the atmosphere and entered the universe. Xinghu's voice broadcast interrupted Xu Teng's thinking. Get up and look at the outside world. Unlike when I was at Blue Star, I didn't look at the blue of the past. The surroundings were all pitch black, with occasional meteors passing by. The home of survival is under your feet, and you can see it when you look down. The sphere, half of which is green, is the tree. The vast majority are blue, and that's the ocean in the vast universe. Blue Star is indeed like a dazzling pearl, making people feel happy. It is such a place where life is nurtured, and it is actually targeted by an interstellar civilization of the level of death it also claims to be. Not to die, everyone must be enslaved. Thinking of this, Xu Teng was very angry. Transmit the results of the voyage back and save all the data. At the same time, enter the mode of interstellar voyage and circle around the blue star. Clear. At this time, everyone is waiting patiently for the result. Everyone was nervous and sweaty. Drip drip drip. Quick, connect. Alan Tam responded the fastest before he could speak. The voice of Xinghu came from the opposite side. Everything goes well. We are on an interstellar voyage. In a few simple words, the meaning of the symbol is so different. Ha. I knew that academicians would definitely be able to. Interstellar civilization, here we come. Chapter 406, Raid Plan. Unlike the cheering atmosphere at the base, Xu Teng did not let his guard down. In fact, letting Red Dragon 1 enter the mode of interstellar voyage, in addition to observing the surrounding environment, has another meaning, that is to see if the High Priest and the others have deployed any offensive weapons around. Even if Red Dragon 1 successfully entered the interstellar space, it did not let Xu Teng relax his vigilance. Neither the Mandu Kingdom nor the Death God civilization are paper-based. Although the other party has not yet arrived, there are inevitably so many lackeys. Xinghu, check if there are weapons of mass destruction around. Okay, in the vast universe, checking for weapons of mass destruction is not an easy task. It's just that the target point is narrowed down a bit. If it is Blue Star, The difficulty of detection will not be that difficult because the target of the imaginary enemy is the Dragon Country, and if it is deployed in the sky, the approximate location of the attack can be roughly calculated even if the High Priest and the beautiful country have accepted the technology behind the interstellar civilization. In terms of time, they cannot reduce those lethal weapons, so the volume must be obvious. Knowing the approximate location and similar size, it is not difficult to find out. Isn't it a test of computing power? Xinghu's computing power is not weak. I am targeting the Dragon Country of Blue Star, dividing the approximate orientation, and estimating the approximate size of the opponent's weapon. Before Xing fell asleep, part of the weapon information was recorded in Xinghu's knowledge base. Although the child has not lived in other universes, he has a certain amount of knowledge. Crash la la la. A sound like running water appeared around the red dragon number 1, which was the light wave detector released by Xinghu. It will bring back a rough image of the surrounding area, and then use powerful computing power to dissect and analyze the image to detect the secrets behind those small meteorites. Analysis in progress. Estimated time 10 minutes. 10 minutes, not too long, at least a lot less time than Xu Teng expected. Contact the base and ask them to pay attention to the surrounding environment at all times. At the same time, contact those who have been released to see if the other two countries have any urgent tasks. Bright white. Until now, Xu Teng's heart has not relaxed. Last time, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs revealed all the secrets of the High Priest in front of all the media. The only secret that remained was that technology became a god. The reason for doing this, on the one hand, is to inform others that it is prudent to join the fallen civilization of the High Priest because Xu Teng didn't want to face more and more enemies. On the other hand, it is to make most of the eyes of the whole focus on the High Priest, which will bring a certain pressure to the research of the High Priest. Today's information warfare, compared with the past, is a lot more difficult to defend. For example, satellites in space. Xu Teng understands, as long as this is said, the beautiful nation and other allies will focus their satellites on the territory of the High Priest. Even if it's actually useless, it can discuss the High Priest and put a little psychological pressure on him. But it is absolutely impossible to say that the opposite will be honest because the High Priest suffered so much. Their research includes starships and wormhole bridges. Among them, there are a certain amount of breakthroughs in the wormhole bridge. If the research is successful and can take off, the first target of the High Priest will definitely be on Xu Teng. But don't forget, there is a mythical creature like Su Zhao in his eyes when all the explosive points are gathered in one person. He is particularly easy to be targeted. Every man is innocent, but he is guilty. That's what it's saying. Human beings have always had such a saying in their long history. When people suspect that you have weapons of mass destruction, you better have them, so that others won't dare to touch you. In fact, the High Priest was planning such a thing on the other side of Blue Star. In a scientific research base, the High Priest was looking at the big screen in front of him. The mission has been successfully completed. Please return. The High Priest held the microphone in his hand and said, the landing pads from number 3 to number 7 have been prepared, and they will return to pass. Looking at the starship outside, the High Priest fell into contemplation. All the tasks set out have been completed, and although they are not perfect, they have reached an excellent level. When passing through the atmosphere, the body shook violently. For a few seconds, it made everyone almost fly. It's just, this is also a normal situation. With the Blue Star's technology now, when someone passes through the atmosphere, there will be no violent shaking. Even those spacecraft, the astronauts inside need to completely fix themselves in the cabin, otherwise, it is flying everywhere in the spacecraft. When you fly out of the atmosphere and enter space, you can't stay for a long time. The energy consumption is too huge. Well, it seems to be a material problem. Although the High Priest received some technological support from the God of Death, it was only because of the technological development of Blue Star itself. There is not enough strength to remove all impurities. And the ratio of materials is also a little troublesome. Hey, after all, it's still just a planetary civilization. Front-end technological development requires a complete production line for the front-end industry. It's a bit difficult to do that now, but when he said these words, the whole mood of the High Priest began to change. No matter how you do it, we're on the front line. The main reason for making an interstellar spaceship is that there is an interstellar civilization like death behind it. And what about the Dragon Kingdom? No fart. With their small planetary civilization, they want to suddenly become an interstellar civilization. Impossible. It's just a joke. When fighting the beautiful country before, the High Priest used the internet to infiltrate some information and found that there was also an interstellar civilization behind the other party. No wonder, every time it is just knocked down, The technology can update a part in his investigation. Long Kingdom has no interstellar civilization behind it. Persimmons still need to be squeezed soft, aren't you arrogant? I'll take you first and perform surgery. The high priest picked up the microphone and began to command. 10 minutes later, hold a meeting to formulate a raid plan. Target, Dragon Country, weapon strikes from high altitude. At this time, the chosen people of God in the base were stunned for a moment immediately after the great joy. The high priest finally wanted to use them. I can't stand them anymore. That is, what else to say? We are welcome to challenge us in the past. This time, let them witness the real wrath of our God's elect. Chapter 407 Training of Mecha Power. The meeting progressed very quickly, and to be precise, there was no objection to the proposal at all during the meeting in the territory where the high priest is located. This is his word. Although everyone in the Death God civilization has the qualifications to evolve, from another perspective, the hierarchy is also strict. Your potential after evolution shows whether you have the right to speak, and the high priest has one vote and one vote in this. The raid plan was quickly confirmed by everyone. The conference room was filled with confident words. Fuck him and let them know what an interstellar civilization is. Why do people who don't even have spaceships shout in front of us? When they decided to attack our living dead base, the end was already doomed. No one really thinks that the difference between planetary civilization and interstellar civilization is not big. The high priest waved his hand, suppressing the excitement of the crowd. Good, that's it. If you haven't played yet, it's not good to lose your confidence first. However, there is a battle experience with a beautiful country first. Now, looking at those people in the Dragon Country really is nothing. The dignified military power, coupled with the coalition forces of other countries, has not even built the frontier military bases in this comparison. The scientific research and technology of other countries in Blue Star is only the same. This is not just the idea of the high priest, but the idea of everyone. Then follow the raid plan, set off in 10 minutes, target, frontier cities, let them know how powerful we are, definitely complete the task. There was a lot of rhetoric in the conference room. Okay, let's go down. Before that, the high priest turned his head and exhorted as if he had remembered something. By the way, you should use the network as little as possible, and use the extended mental power to build an information LAN. Clear. In fact, before this, the high priest had doubts whether a potential vulnerability virus was planted in their network. After all the teams in Kurt City were annihilated, for so many days, there was no team to attack them. This is not the most critical, just had some doubts at the beginning. But after all the bases of the living dead were pulled out, the high priest felt that something was wrong. If it does not exist on your own network, inner ghosts, this is absolutely not the case. The result was that the hidden surveillance seed could not be found anyway. Therefore, the high priest would suspect that the implanted vulnerability virus can be upgraded as their network program is upgraded. But Blue Star is obviously only a planet-level civilization. How can there be such a level of artificial intelligence? Worrying too much? Yes, I must have thought too much. Drive out those worrying thoughts, man. Don't scare yourself all the time. How bad is that? Besides, we are relying on the Death God civilization behind our back. Can you lose? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. It's almost the same as the Wondu Kingdom of God, the so-called Dragon Kingdom technology. It's not enough to see frontier cities, waterfront. Make sure to make them pay today. The waterfront, as the name says, is the southern coastal city because it is located on the ocean and is located in a subtropical monsoon climate. The climate is comfortable and pleasant all year round. The intersection of most transportation lines, convenient transportation and abundant resources make the seaside a commercial city. In the past, the security here was not that strict, but with Xu Teng's information, the ban began to be lifted. The defense of the seashore has increased a lot, and a lot of missile defense systems have been established. Of course, this is not the most important thing. With a mass production of the sanctioner mecha, Xinghu's artificial intelligence computing volume has increased, as well as official resource support. Many important cities have already settled in the sanctioner mecha, not for anything else, but to protect the safety of the city through Xinghu's big data analysis, along with the disclosure of the secret of the living dead base, and the decryption of Xu Teng's information. The high priest will definitely use them as objects for training. And there is another interstellar civilization behind the beautiful country. The god of death has played against them for a long time, and it can definitely be seen in contrast. The civilization of Blue Star's native land would be the first to be bullied. The first to bear the brunt is the major frontier cities of the Dragon Kingdom. as well as the cities of various economic lifelines. The primary goal of the war is naturally to blow up all the prosperous cities first. The waterfront is likely to be a near-term target. Therefore, in the past few days, the special forces have not less practiced to read a ta-ta. A group of soldiers passed by, and many of them looked at the two not far away with envious eyes. Yuan Wei and Chen Yong were the first people in Haben to be selected to assemble the sanctioners. When the sanctioner was sent over, the entire force on the seashore was boiling. This is a mecha. Who doesn't want to have it, especially for this group of soldiers? This is a fatal attraction. There is almost no fire in everyone's eyes. Pen Fun Library. The officer in charge of escorting the sanctioner looked at everyone's appearance and said only one simple sentence. According to the rules of the army, the two strongest singles will have the qualifications of sanctioners. In fact, this is also the result of Xinghu's speculation. Through a large amount of data compared with ordinary people, soldiers have a purer mind and stronger perseverance, and the opening of mecha power, to a certain extent, is linked to the simplicity of mind and the level of strength. Turning on mecha power to control the sanctioner is completely different from controlling the sanctioner without enabling mecha power. With attention of the situation and the extension of technology, it is also urgent to cultivate a group of super soldiers with mecha power. Then, Yuan Wei and Chen Yong were honored to be qualified to manipulate sanctions. Yuan Wei wiped the sweat from his forehead, looked at his comrades beside him and asked, "How do you feel today?" For them, mecha power is no longer a secret. During this period of time, cruel training has been carried out, just to activate mecha power as soon as possible. It still doesn't work. It always feels like something. Chen Yong sighed as the new batch of sanctioner operators. They can of course watch the full footage of Xu Teng's support at first. I was shocked. Everyone did not expect that academician Xu is not only so powerful in scientific research, but also in mecha control. But as the training went on and the actual control of the mecha, they discovered an even more amazing thing, that is, academician Xu was even more shocked than they first saw. Relying on Xinghu's super powerful calculation, everyone was positioned, and everyone was lost in an instant. This is not a matter of being a little bit stronger than them, it is a dimension stronger. Chapter 408 Soundblade. The layman watches the fun. The layman watches the doorway. Only when they really put on the sanctioners, as mecha warriors, can they understand to be able to do that is not something that can be done only by Xinghu's auxiliary combat system. Here, there is no shortage of personal super physical fitness bonus, and that super physical quality bonus is a level that even gene reagent can't do. That's right, Yuan Wei and Chen Yong were injected with a gene reagent the moment they were selected to become the sanctioner mecha fighters. But after so many days, no matter how they conducted this simulation training, they were still far from the actual combat of academician Xu. You feel this way too? I thought it was just me, Yuan Wei said as if he remembered something. Then we will tell what the difference is at the same time to see if it is the same. It is good. The two looked at each other, and in the next second, they suddenly said at the same time, "Actual combat," for a moment. He laughed. Looks like we all think about the same thing. That's right. It's true that the kind of actual combat that walks on the edge of life and death is missing. Hey, in this comparison, academician Xu is simply a genius. When he was doing research, he also developed mecha power. By the way, judging from the video, the level is not very low yet. I heard that mecha power also has a restraining effect on the chosen people of God. Having said that, a harsh siren suddenly sounded inside the base. Warning, a UFO is detected coming from a distance. Target, Seaside City. Expected arrival time, 3 minutes. The two looked at each other, and they both saw joy in each other's eyes because, just now, I said that I needed a challenge to walk on the edge of life and death, and it took a long time to come over immediately. Quick, it's our turn. Yuan Wei urged Chen Yong directly on the platform carried by the mecha sanctioner Kakaka. A sound of mechanical bite appeared. Xinghu's use of big data analysis is really accurate, saying that these 2 days will definitely invade major frontier cities, and the seaside is one of the targets. I didn't expect it to come right away. Chen Yong stretched out his hand and let the sanctioner's mecha cover himself. Then, do we want to warn first? Yuan Wei turned his head and asked the captain. The blue eyes on the helmet were particularly dazzling. Warning shit, the situation is so tense now. The support behind the other party civilizations are all interstellar. If you find that the target is a city in our country, hit it directly. The two have already begun to levitate into the air. That's right, it makes sense. The first strike is stronger, and the second strike suffers. Xinghu, pass the information here to academician Xu. At the same time, a request for support was sent to Mech Land. Clear, the two of them did not panic at all. On the contrary, they sent various orders very calmly: long-term simulation training and actual combat training. The effect has been presented. The most crucial point is, they all believe in Academician Xu because, we not only have the Sanctioner Mecha but also the super artificial intelligence-assisted combat system like Xinghu of course. I also heard today that Academician Xu is experimenting with the Red Dragon #1 interstellar spacecraft. That's a space fighter. In contrast, it is a more powerful existence than the Sanctioner Mecha I want to play. Think we're easy to bully? Then come, see the real chapter on the battlefield. The first thing to react was the monitoring room, where a group of people were surrounding the screen in front, issuing orders continuously. Sir, the speed from the opposite side is very fast. It is not a normal fighter plane. It is expected to arrive at the edge of the seaside city in a minute. Of course, it's not a normal fighter. After Academician Xu's information is unlocked, there are still people who have the courage to come over. It must be the High Priest civilization technology, Sound Blade Missile. What is the current storage capacity? The Sonic Blade Missile is a series of supersonic missiles independently developed by Longo. It is developed according to the theoretical knowledge left by the predecessors. When the missile changes its orbit, the difficulty of interception will increase exponentially. At first, everyone only studied it as a theoretical knowledge. But since Xinghu's powerful computing power joined the research team, everyone found that the research problem that originally seemed very difficult is not impossible to solve. On the contrary, it has become extraordinarily easy, because Xinghu provides a large amount of simulated data, which can split the theoretical knowledge step by step. Today's missile interception systems first capture the trajectory of the enemy's missile, and then calculate the location of the opponent's missile at a certain moment through computer calculations. Then the interception system shoots the missile out to intercept the opponent's attack. But if the missile can change its orbit, the trajectory of the missile cannot be calculated within a few minutes. Therefore, this is also the reason why the Sound Blade series of missiles cannot be intercepted. There are 10, only 10. The commander frowned, because the Sound Blade series of missiles had only been developed not long ago. Recently, a lot of resources have been mobilized to produce the Sanctioner Mecha and the first generation Red Dragon #1 machine. The storage capacity of each frontier city is not sufficient, divided into 2 batches, with an interval of 30 seconds. Try to cause damage to the opposite side, delay the time, and quickly issue an emergency notice to the mechanized ground. Clear. The operator immediately pressed the red button in front of him. Since Xinghu announced the opposite's whereabouts, the weapons of all the military bases on the seashore were instantly ready to be fired. At this moment, the commanders of each base saw for the first time Xinghu's powerful computing power in the battlefield. If it is artificial, it is absolutely impossible to mobilize the strength of the military base in the entire city so quickly. Boom boom boom. The first batch of Sound Blade missiles have already set off. The other party came exactly 5 UFOs, 1 missile against 1. Although the staff of various military bases know the power of the Sound Blade missile, but still sweating over the result because the High Priest would not be a fool. Some time ago, under the leadership of Academician Xu, the enemy's secret research base was pulled up. There was also shocking news: spaceships and wormhole bridges. Presumably, these 5 fighters are the basic models of spaceships. This is a planetary civilization, and it is the first time that it has confronted a real interstellar civilization. Can you really win? Everyone thinks so. At this time, the chosen people of God faced the Sound Blade missile that was launched, with expressions of contempt on their faces. No, just use this against us. Could it be that we were despied? Possible. Don't be careless. Launch induction bombs, open shields, and try the power first. There is no need to open the shield. Shut up. How did the High Priest explain to us before departure? Have you forgotten? We can't despise our opponents. Our living dead base and sacrifices are all dead at their hands. Alright, I got it. As the corresponding button is pressed, a series of induction bombs are launched. Boom. A yellow shield appears near the Liberty. Chapter 409. Almost out of the atmosphere. Inducer bombs are one of the best ways to intercept missiles. When an aircraft is locked onto them, there are generally 2 types of induced bombs, infrared type and radar type. As long as it is launched, it will actively look for the missile that locks on you. Under normal circumstances, it can play a role in successful interception, not to mention that the induction bombs carried on the Freedom are all technological support from the civilization of the God of Death. At this point, there is only one idea in the minds of all God's chosen people: to hit us? Impossible. What do we want? In the first minute of the war, let you see what is called the absolute strength gap between technologies. Boom. Huh? What's going on? I don't know. It seems to have been hit by a missile. Before he could finish speaking, he heard the sound of bang 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 bang. Originally, everyone had not determined the situation, but the next 4 bombardments just now made them understand a little. We just got hit. The atmosphere fell into an embarrassing situation for a while, and everyone hadn't finished speaking, and the slap in the face came so quickly. The intelligent voice began to prompt, the Liberty has been hit, the induced missile failed to intercept, and the damage to the shield is 10%. Gan, it's not just being hit that rides the induction projectile also failed to intercept, and the shield was damaged. No. You are really a planetary civilization. The consciousness of the members of the 5-man squad began to appear in a trance. Before carrying out the mission, they had actually fought with a plane on the Blue Star. To be more precise, it has actually fought with those intercepted spoils. That's right, the spoils intercepted from the beautiful country. 10 victories in 10 battles are not only far superior in performance. Inducer bombs have never missed. Of course, these are not the most important. Even if the Freedom stood in front of them and let them fight, the damage to the shield would be reduced by 1%. For this reason, they will be full of confidence. What kind of planetary civilization, in front of us, is just a child who just picks it up? Result: 1 minute into the battle, there was a slight change in the mentality. Where are we? It looks like we're about to be beaten. The captain also smelled the change in the situation, and immediately shouted, "Hey, what are you doing in a daze? Do not just got hit by a missile. That's why we stand here and get hit by them. If we get another serve, will we still stand here and get hit?" At this moment, the intelligent voice prompt of Liberty rang. It has been locked by the enemy missile, and the estimated time to hit is 20 seconds. Please launch a guided missile. Please do evasive action. Well, you really came, didn't you? The captain screamed and shouted, "Quick, do evasive maneuvers, and let them see the full power of our Liberty. If it can't be avoided, allow liftoff." I don't believe their missiles can break through the atmosphere. The situation was stabilized at once, and the other team members even showed a trace of shame in their psychological state. That is, with a Liberty in hand, what are we afraid of? Isn't it just a missile? Can you intercept the height above the atmosphere? On the other side, with the first batch of sound blade missiles hit, there were cheers in the hall, at least proving that their skills were not that far off. The sound blade successfully hit the target and is being analyzed. Successful analysis: 10% damage to the enemy's shield has been dealt. Part of the data of the enemy fighter plane has been obtained and is being analyzed. The analysis is successful. The enemy fighter is the most basic fighter series of the spacecraft. Space fighter. Listening to Xinghu's information report, there was a slight change in everyone's mentality. On the one hand, they were happy, because just now they saw each other's fighter jets firing induction bombs through the big screen, but it turned out that the inducer bomb didn't work. This shows one point: the theoretical basis of the predecessors is really strong, and to a certain extent, their strategic vision at that time. The missiles they made have the fighters that hurt the interstellar civilization. However, there is only some damage. It can't be shot down. Especially the damage degree of the 10% shield is somewhat hurtful. The commander could see that everyone was in a low mood, and said comfortably, Hey, what's going on with you guys? The sound blade missile that was launched just now was made by relying on the theoretical knowledge of the seniors. Academician Su's scientific research achievements have not been shown yet. What? This is starting to lower morale. When everyone heard the commander say this, they all reacted. Yes, the sound blade missile is not the theoretical basis of Academician Su. The sanctioner mecha has not yet been installed. The opposite side will definitely be stunned. I thought we had already used the ultimate move. But I don't know, the real ultimate move hasn't been used yet. At this time, the legions turned their attention to the screen in the hall. The Liberty is really tough, whether it is in terms of power, energy, or shield protection. It is far from what the sound blade missile can break through. As the captain of the Liberty said, the reason they stood there and let the sonic blade hit, it's because they want to destroy other people's mentality in the first minute of the war. Let them see what is called the huge gap in scientific research. Seriously, it's not a question of whether you can hit me. Instead, you only deserve to smell the Liberty's fart, since the induction bomb is useless. Let you see the true speed of the space fighter. Boom boom boom. Unlike the Red Dragon #1, the Freedom built by the High Priest relies entirely on the combination of pentagrams to provide energy. The anti-gravity engine installed in the Red Dragon #1 pays attention to quietness, and relies on its own powerful power to reduce the weight of the model by 80%. Therefore, when pushing the Red Dragon #1 forward, the sound is not loud. The arrangement of the pentagrams of the Freedom does not matter so much. The goal of weight loss is not achieved, and it is all driven by energy. The rapid speed brought an explosion-like loud noise just as the captain said, "The for Liberty all rely on their speed to leave the sonic blades behind." Then he made a neat U-turn and blasted the sound blade missile into the air, and the last unsatisfactory flight teammate, because of lack of technology, can only keep raising the nose of the Liberty in an attempt to really let everyone see whether the sound blade missile can pass through the atmosphere. Before the sound blade missile and power fuel were all used up, Xing, who remote control, detonated it. Although the result is the same, however, the process is very embarrassing. When he returned to the queue, he clearly felt that the captain's mood was greatly ups and downs. Seem just talking casually on the horse. You are really talented, and you almost went out of the atmosphere. Chapter 410 Global Live Broadcast. Originally, everyone came here to dampen the morale of others, so first stand still, hit the opponent with a missile, and let them understand what it means to be immovable even for you. Result: the shield broke 10% at once. Next, I want to show you the speed of the Liberty once the horsepower is turned on. Even the speed of the missile is nothing more than that. Flick, turn around, and detonate. Come to a set of handsome moves, but the result is, it was almost chased into the atmosphere by the so-called sound blade missile. Pen Fun Library. Just this thing, forget it, don't say anything. Let's directly attack the important military and strategic targets of the coastal city. The captain was too lazy to ask his team members to carry out a series of demonstrations. I'm afraid that this group of pig teammates will capsize directly in the gutter by accident. That's not it, it's a matter of face and shame. Maybe, as soon as their front feet landed, the high priest on the hind feet would strip them alive, because, in the plan of the high priest, it was planned to broadcast a military operation live. You Dragon Kingdom, haven't you been causing us trouble? Various military strikes have also been carried out, and in the eyes of outsiders, it seems to be invincible. He also said that to reveal our top secret plan, he had to develop a spaceship himself, then let everyone on Blue Star see what a real spaceship is. The sound of electric current sounded from the fighter planes all over the Freedom. The voice of the high priest came out. How is your military operation going? Hearing this calm voice, everyone could not help sweating wildly behind their backs. Fortunately, it didn't come in just now, otherwise, before the start, their group will end. The planned city has been reached, and military operations have not yet been launched. Please order the high priest. The other team members breathed a sigh of relief when they heard the captain's words. Sure enough, it's his own captain who still loves us. Freedom to strike. By the way, I only have one request. Please say, I must make the whole beach mess up for me. From the live broadcast, it looks like a hell on earth. The high priest's tone was gloomy and leisurely, like a ghost. If other normal people heard it, they would definitely shudder, but the members of the high priest's subordinates are not normal people. The black mist on each head rolled continuously, showing the emotional excitement. Understood. Promise to complete the task. Brush. When the high priest finished saying this, he hung up the voice. Endless rays of light emerged from him and merged into the network. This was the way to invade the global network when the god of death was projected. During the ceremony, the high priest received the technological support of god of death. It's just that the effect of using it is not as good as that of death, and the aging time is not so long. Of course, the most crucial point is that, except for the Dragon Kingdom, most of the world's networks can be invaded. As for this, the high priest did not think much about it. I have never thought about whether there is a super artificial intelligence here. After all, at that time, the god of death had not taken down the Dragon Kingdom's network. At this time, all the media in the world are beating at the same time. This is, again, the brows of the beautiful Chinese people who have experience are frantically beating high priest. You on the horse. Hacking the internet is addictive, right? The only people who panic were the officials of the beautiful country, who shouted loudly, "Where's the person in charge of network security? Let him roll over to me," and he told me a few days ago that everything is done. What's happening now? What's going on? How can it be like this for a long time to make our nation feel that the country is safe? Just when the official staff was about to spray the person in charge with a big splash, suddenly seeing the unbelievable look on the other side, he looked very dissatisfied. Fuck, I'm talking to you, but you dare to distract yourself in front of me. I see if you don't want to continue doing it. No, the person in charge had a ghostly expression on his face. Turn your head and look at what's playing on the TV screen. What happened to the TV? Turning his head, he was stunned before he finished speaking. The huge red fonts on the screen are bright and dazzling. The main point is this: the information conveyed above is very shocking. Starship, Liberty's first public blow to the waterfront seaside. Then the data introduction played in turn on the screen. Where's the seashore and what is its important role in just 10 seconds? The officials went from surprise, shock, disbelief, to numbness and excitement. Even the most professional actor in Hollywood would be surprised by the look on his face in 10 seconds because no one can do that. So, the High Priest and the Dragon Country did it. Haha, it really works. Or use the latest model of spaceship. Isn't it exciting? At the very beginning of its military operations, the beautiful country put itself in a very bright position. Not only the domestic media has been propaganda and momentum, but even the media of the coalition forces are cheering their flags. But the final result, in addition to being beaten, the situation of being crushed did not appear, but the situation of being crushed was staged again and again many times. Even the beautiful country is stunned. Not right. I am the strongest military power on Blue Star. And I have an interstellar civilization like Mandu Divine Kingdom for scientific and technological support. Why am I being beaten all the time? And why the Dragon Kingdom can deliver surprising results time and time again? Do they really have this ability? It's fake. I don't believe it unless you let the High Priest and your real guns fight a confrontation, and this time, all that was expected came true. The outside media all have the same view. Damn it, it really started fighting. I was still thinking in front of me, if the people of Longo are so flamboyant, will the people of the High Priest come to the door? That will definitely come to you. You are not saying that you are also developing a starship. Let's go to war. I don't have it. Hey, you guys found that it's so handsome without the Liberty. It's not just one person who has this idea. When everyone looks at the black fuselage and the extended wings, the first thought will pop up in their minds: this is too handsome on horseback. If it really fights, the other side may not even be able to keep up with the fuselage at this time. The 5 team members also knew that the High Priest had started the global live broadcast, and their hands began to tremble with excitement. The hormones in the body rose sharply, and the breathing began to become rapid. Didn't you launch missiles just now? Now, let's try our big guy. Snap. The red button on the console is pressed. Chapter 411. The shackles break free. Unlike the missiles just launched by the seaside city, the High Priest has the technology bonus of Death God. It is indeed a little more advanced than other countries on the Blue Star in terms of technology. Not all the weapons created are the missiles of the planetary civilization. Of course, the power does not reach the kind of standard interstellar civilization. It's just in the middle part of planetary civilization and interstellar civilization. For example, the missile carried by the Liberty is loaded with gunpowder at the front and a small warhead at the rear, which is loaded with a small laser weapon. When the missile is intercepted, the small warhead in the rear will automatically release in this way, even if the missile is intercepted. But in that short period of time, the small missile head at the rear can also activate the laser weapon to cause lethality to the target. The High Priest called it a hyena in the animal world. Hyenas are often the most feared species, although the lethality is not strong. However, any shady tricks can be used even in the human world. There is never a good word for hyenas. Let the global audience watch a good show. The High Priest, who is far in the sky, can see it, and in the next picture, there will be a large group of panicked people on the seashore. Houses collapsed in gunpowder smoke spread. You alone dare to challenge us? Boom boom boom. The hyena missiles flew towards the city waterfront with a long tail of flame. Xinghu, hurry up, analyze the missile on the opposite side. At this time, Yuan Wei and Chen Yong had already taken off. Fortunately, the opponent was arrogant from the beginning, and there was also a missile base to cover them with firepower. Otherwise, the two would definitely not have been able to lift off so smoothly. Information acquisition is in progress. Information acquisition is successful. Analysis is in progress. This missile is different from the missiles developed by various countries on the Blue Star. The front warhead is equipped with gunpowder, and the rear has a small warhead. Because there is no database, matching cannot be performed. However, after the actual combat situation in the past, it can be concluded that the rear warhead will inevitably cause secondary damage. Before it's too late, intercept the missiles first. Feedback the actual information to the major coastal bases and activate the induction bombs. Yuan Wei, we turned on the shield and rushed straight up. Captain, I understand. Boom boom boom. As the order was issued, all the missile bases and the miniature missiles loaded by the Sanctioner Mecha were launched. In the long course of war, the Dragon Country has a common phobia, that is, the fear of insufficient firepower. In addition, Xinghu's super artificial intelligence analysis can conclude that the opposite side has always wanted to do something to us. In this case, the defense of each forward city is directly full. Unlike the hyena missiles launched from the Liberty, the interceptor missiles launched from the seaside city filled the screens that were being broadcast live around the world. Fuck, so many? Could it be that they had expected that the high priest's troops would come and attack? It must have been expected. Have you forgotten the grievances between them? It makes sense, but the missiles launched by Liberty are not so easy to intercept. In fact, it does. Hyena missiles are indeed not that easy to intercept. Bang bang bang. In the explosion that sounded like fireworks, only 3 missiles were intercepted. The 3 intercepted missiles had already exploded. Indeed, as Xinghu had analyzed, the small projectiles at the rear had weapons laser weapon, but because the target is a military unit, Xinghu upgraded the defensive military units a few days ago, and loaded large-scale shield technology as a result. The last laser shot was easily blocked by the shield defense. Sometimes the hard power gap in technology cannot be filled by external forces. Even if it is not enough to count the artificial intelligence of Xinghu's level. After all, Xinghu can analyze the hyena's approximate route through big data analysis. However, people are just an artificial intelligence and not a missile flying in the sky. Love can't help. Quick, Yuan Wei goes up. Chen Yuang shouted anxiously. The other 2 missiles were not intercepted and shot in the direction of the downtown area because things happened too suddenly. The seaside is also a city with developed commerce and trade. People's lives are no different from ordinary times, and most people gather in the downtown area as usual. They walk their dogs and buy groceries, chat, brag. If the missiles really fall, the peace will be completely broken at that time. The following will not be a bustling city full of life. Rather, it is like hell on earth. I know, I'll be there. Yuan Wei clearly knew what the captain meant. In fact, there is often a question in aerospace courses, which is the most common sense. How many bullets can the fighter carry? Every pilot can answer it clearly, because it is clearly written on the textbook. However, this is not what the instructor is going to say. He would tell the pilot, no, there should be one more. When the enemy is not knocked out, when there is not a single bullet left in your plane, you and your fighter are the last bullet. At that time, the instructor who escorted the sanctioner Metro was on the afternoon when the 2 were qualified to wear the sanctioner. He also solemnly said to the 2 of them, the technology of star iron is the hardest material known to Blue Star. The anti-gravity engine is the best engine known to Blue Star at present. When the energy is fully turned on, it can catch up with any fighter in an instant. What I mean behind these words is to tell you, when faced with a major and irreversible disaster, you are the last shield in front of the masses. At this moment, Yuan Wei's eyes were only on the hyena missile flying towards the downtown. Shield. I am their shield. The moment he put on the sanctioner, he knew what his destiny was: die in battle, or return as a hero, as a special forces soldier. He never thought it was a sad thing to die in battle. Instead, he felt it was an honor. Home and country have always been linked together from the moment when the god of death announced that he would never die with the Dragon Kingdom. Every man who joined the army was ready to die for the country God's chosen. Reaper technology. Dogs don't even look. What about planetary civilizations? We are not those bastards of your affiliated civilizations full of anger. Released at this moment, you are optimistic. I am standing and kneeling. Boom. At this moment, Yuan Wei and Chen Yuang's minds were clear, and there seemed to be a kind of shackles being opened in their bodies. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 412. The crisis is lifted. Crack. At this time, both of them heard a subtle voice coming from their bodies. In the next second, everything around him slowed down. Hearing has also become sharper. In the past, even with a bonus of a combat assistance system like Xinghu, he couldn't feel the distance, but now, not only can I see the tail flame of the hyena missile, but I can even hear the rumbling sound. At this time, the residents on the ground also discovered the strangeness above. Look, something is coming, really, with a long tail. That's, a middle-aged man wearing glasses was stunned, as if he couldn't believe his eyes. Blinking his eyes, he found that the real thing in front of him was indeed not wrong. His face was shocked, and he shouted anxiously, "Quick! Everyone, hurry up and take refuge in the tall buildings around. That is a missile, missile, missile." Everyone was stunned by this sentence, but looking at the object that is getting closer, everyone understands a little. This is a fact. Hide. How to hide? No matter how fast, can you run past a missile? Some people are already desperate, but more people have some complexities in their hearts. Everyone knows how chaotic the recent situation is. He and the high priest have engaged in several battles in secret, and they were all abroad before. Maybe the next time will be local. I never thought it would happen so quickly, but at a critical moment, a light suddenly appeared in the distance, hit it with a speed far exceeding that of the missile. Boom! A violent explosion sounded from the top of the downtown street on the seashore, and the fire burst into the sky because the distance is too close. Even the faces of the onlookers have a fiery feeling. What is that? Everyone felt a little bit of doubt physically. It looks more like a human being, but how can people be so fast? Boom. Yuan Wei, who was hot in midair, quickly retreated. The roaring explosion sounded in his ears. And he finally arrived at the last moment. The shock wave brought by the second explosion made him madly hit again like a ball. Boom boom. His body made deep marks on the street, and the gravel flew around with a wow. Yuan Wei, who was wearing a mask, vomited blood. He was in a very bad state at this time. The surface of the adjudicator mecha is covered with potholes and bullet marks, and it looks dilapidated. The body surface also continued to emit hot steam, which was the result of close contact with the center of the explosion. The whole body is weak, and he knows that at least many organs on his body are damaged. I didn't expect to survive. This was Yuan Wei's first thought. He originally thought he would die on the spot. The technology contained in this sanctioner mecha seems to be much more powerful than he imagined. Then, he seemed to think of something. Everyone in the street heard his roar. Run! There are weapon attacks, and an attack. Pedestrians on the street were stunned. What does this mean? As soon as he looked up, a small device suddenly appeared at the center of the explosion in midair. Kakuka. Because the environment at this time is too quiet, all could hear the tinny sound of that gadget in midair. Immediately after the blue light began to converge, something was charging. This is the small laser weapon that triggers when a hyena is intercepted, although the power is not that great. If it is swept away like this, the people on the street will feel good enough. Run, Yuan Wei said this sentence with the last strength before his consciousness fell into coma. He seemed to see a thicker blue light suddenly appearing from the sky in the other direction. An illusion. This was his last thought. In fact, this is not an illusion but a real situation. Just as the laser weapon was about to be fired at the crowd on the street, a thicker blue light shot from another direction in the sky. Boom. This time, two different types of attacks collided in the sky. It is different from Yuan Wei and Chen Yong's suicidal style of using the body to bear it. The laser weapon split from the hyena missile is obviously not as powerful as the faint blue light, only just resisted for a while. Blast. When all the dangers were eliminated, the people on the street reacted. Today is obviously the most ordinary day, but everything that happened is too weird. The man lying on the ground, they knew what they were wearing. That's the sanctioner mecha they unlocked the other day. You have seen it in the archives of Akademishinsu. Crucially, it never occurred to them that such a massive attack would one day be on their heads, or the daily weekend of walking the dog, grocery shopping, and bragging in just 1 minute. They kept jumping on the edge of life and death, from confusion to despair, and from despair to hope. That faint blue light is what looks like a blaster, blast gun. Well, it's the weapon that Akademishinsu first researched. The former military fan began to popularize science for everyone again. Akademishinsu. When everyone heard this name, they were stunned for a moment, followed by Yixi. If there is one person who can become the idol of all the people today, it is Akademishinsu, an all-around scientific research genius who won the highest honorary title at a young Ajathan. Doesn't it mean that Akademishinsu is also here? Just when everyone had such an idea, a steady voice suddenly resounded in the sky. I'm Xu Teng. Please, all the residents of the waterfront, enter the basement immediately. Please don't walk around, and don't panic. You only need to pay attention to your own safety, and leave the rest to me. The moment the Liberty invaded the seashore, Xu Teng, who was in the universe, received the news at that moment. All the tasks happened to be completed. The high priest did not build any large-scale offensive weapons behind the meteorites in the universe. This is a good news because it reflects one point from the side. Even with the aid of technology behind the death, their technological development has not improved much. There is almost no gap. The news of the intrusion made Xu Teng's heart sink again. There were 5 space fighter jets on the opposite side. According to Xinghu's information, there are not enough sanctioner mecha warriors in the coastal city. There are only 2 of them, and the other cities are rushing over there. When they receive the news, it won't be a big deal. It'll be. Along the way, Xu Teng controlled the Red Dragon No. 1 to increase the speed to the extreme. The moment I arrived, I heard the 2 mecha warriors endure the attack of the hyena missiles. He quickly ordered Xinghu to fire the blaster gun modified on the Red Dragon No. 1. At the moment when the danger was lifted, Xu Teng turned his head with cold eyes and looked at the 5 Freedom not far away. Chapter 413. Are you ready to die? The loss of the Liberty was something that no one thought of. Once again, the High Priest used his own ability to monitor most of the world's networks. After all, he achieved global live broadcast in the beginning. There were even multiple angles to promote the Liberty. He didn't care. or even didn't care at all, whether other countries would imitate the liberty because the basic principles of technology are completely different from those on Blue Star. Reaper technology uses pentagrams to exchange energy. Even if you can see through the structures on the surface, what does it matter? The most important thing, you don't understand then. Everyone saw Liberty's high-profile appearance, especially the side note, the first real spacecraft on Blue Star. Those weapons on the plane are indeed terrifying. As soon as the Hyena missile was launched, in the face of the enemy's encirclement and suppression of so many missiles, only 3 missiles were detonated at that time. Some people couldn't help but exclaimed, "Fuck. It's too cool to ride on a horse." It's really a needle in the hole, so intensive instructor-style interceptions can be avoided. On one side, only 5 rounds were fired, and on the other side, the entire air defense system of the coastal city was fully loaded. There are probably 50 rounds of everything on the screen. Sure enough, is this the real difference in the strength of hard technology in contemporary warfare? It's like a moat. How can it be filled? Seeing this, the high priest looked relieved while touching the demon wolf beside him. He looked satisfied. "Don't you like hitting me? Don't you like to investigate my actions, in front of so many people all over the world?" He gave me no face at all. "What do you say? You are also on the way to enter the interstellar age? And what do you say? The spacecraft has also been built. You, if you dare to come, let us come in vertically and go out horizontally." So arrogant. What if you intercepted the 3 Hyena missiles, the laser weapons behind them? I see how you deal with them. It was targeting your military base there. And I see that all your missiles have been fired. It's not just the high priest who thinks this way, but everyone around the world who is watching the live broadcast. Normal people can see that wave of missile interception I spun fun library in order to intercept all the unknown weapons because it is too much to launch at one time. Boom. The 3 Hyena missiles that were hit send out new small projectiles at that time. All the audiences around the world were stunned. "Fuck, no way," and "Aim for it. It looks like a military base there. It's over. The base is going to be bombed. Isn't this? It's all over. Hey, wouldn't life be ruined today?" But from that moment on, things took a turn for the worse. Boom boom boom. The 3 small laser weapons shot out first were all blocked by the golden shield. The blue light just persisted for a while, and then it didn't work. The golden shield stood still. Snapped. The high priest who was watching the live broadcast was annoyed and smashed something around him. The remaining 2, kill me, who knows? This is just the beginning, not the end. The other 2 missiles were about to hit the streets of the downtown area in an instant. 2 humanoid machines appeared out of nowhere. Mecha, that's a mecha. The global audience watching the live broadcast was excited. Even adults. Who can refuse a mecha that can fly at high speed? Originally, the speed could not keep up, but at the last moment, it was found that the controlled mecha was emitting a lot of light, which was dazzling. It even hurt a viewer's eyes. Next second, boom, a violent roar. When I opened my eyes again, I saw the last heroic scene. The operators of the 2 mechas hit the Hyena missile without hesitation. A splendid mushroom cloud bloomed like this in midair. The audience in front of the screen fell silent for a while, but it didn't end there. Die for me. The high priest has already started to have red eyes, not as indifferent as before, but then, a thicker blue light appeared, followed by the calm male voice. "I am Xu Teng. Xu Teng." In fact, it's not just the Dragon Kingdom. As Xu Teng's file was released, the young man walked from behind the scenes to the front of everyone like, "Unless it is officially announced, Blue Star will not be believed by any country. Others become academicians in their 20s and lead the scientific and technological progress of the entire country by themselves, and my 20s, open web pages and visit without risk. That's it. Is there really such a strong scientific research genius in the world? But what I just saw has confirmed it. The golden shield is obviously an extension of the ion energy shield technology. The mecha directly hit the Hyena missile. This was the first video of the existence of the mecha being publicly seen on Blue Star. And also, what is that plane painted red, with a high nose, and the whole imposing manner like a sharp sword? But I've never seen this before. The Freedom is a space fighter, and its speed is several times stronger than the speed of all Blue Star's current aircraft today. There are other models that dare to stand up. It can be seen that Xu Teng has strong confidence in this model. The key is that the red color of this painting is really too flamboyant. Isn't it just to inform the high priest behind it? "Come, I'm here. This time it's for you to see how I beat you also. Are you ready to die?" Xu Teng's calm words were filled with boiling murderous aura. This is an endless civilized confrontation, and the other party has even decided to be a human for the so-called strength in the face of such scum. There is no need to recruit them from the side. Come one, kill one. Come two, kill a pair. At this time, the opposing Liberty players also reacted. In fact, from the initial tactical formulation, the High Priest emphasized one point: This time the global live broadcast, we are to let all the countries on Blue Star see what kind of technological gap they have with us. The captain is a person who knows what the meaning behind this sentence is, that is to show a one-sided nature, and to be more specific, crush it directly, in order to make it look like they won easily. The 5 have been playing the style from the beginning to now. We don't see you as opponents on the same level at all, but now, Red Dragon number 1 came out. The soaring nose and dazzling fuselage made them feel dangerous for the first time. Chapter 414, Atmospheric Decisive Battle. As the pilots of the Liberty, they have all gone through a series of modifications using the black mist derived from the pentagram. The reaction speed and tolerance of the self were all pulled to the fullest because Liberty is a space fighter. The imaginary enemy of the High Priest's final target is the interstellar civilization behind the beautiful country. Everyone agreed on a point of view. Interstellar level wars cannot be carried out on Blue Star, making it the main battlefield. Comparing the wars of interstellar civilizations with wars at the planetary level, the degree of tragicness increases exponentially. Everyone agrees on one point: a war involving an interstellar level can never be fought on the Blue Star in any case. The battlefield must be pulled into the universe. Then, the group of them who drive space fighters, as professional operators, will fully fill their physical fitness in terms of driving ability. That means, they're not just agile when they're manipulating the plane faced with those potential dangers, it is also very cautious. In an instant, you can tell whether the other party can cause damage to yourself. Captain Xu Teng, the pilot who almost emitted the atmosphere, took the initiative to speak, and among the 5, his ability to bear was the worst. The opponent's stagger-like aura shocked him a bit. I know, in fact, it wasn't just him alone. The other 4 also felt the same way. Drag the battlefield near the atmosphere. Didn't they claim to have built a spaceship? We, right there, dealt with him in front of all the audience. Actually, this is only one aspect. On the other hand, when the Red Dragon number 1 appeared on the battlefield, they understood that this sudden change broke the delicate balance of the war situation. As time dragged on, the situation became more and more unfavorable. At the same time, because of the arrival of the Red Dragon number 1, they were not sure whether the other party still had a big killer that was not sacrificed. If you keep your head rash, keep your head down. Pen Fun Library. Maybe it's another performance of a live broadcast in front of audiences all over the world. Better yet, let Xu Teng go to the atmosphere and fight them one-on-one. In this way, after I go back, I can still communicate with the High Priest. Xu Teng, right, if you have the seeds, engage us near the atmosphere. Isn't it proclaimed all over the world? Can your civilization also build starships? Then try it and see whose civilization is stronger. After finishing speaking, the 5 of them did not hesitate at all, and instantly raised the height of the Liberty. Data samples have been collected, analysis is underway, and a data model is established based on the current weather conditions and the speed of the enemy's fighter planes. The data model has been established successfully, and the analysis is in progress. Xu Teng's idea is different from theirs. Invading the seaside once turned so easily, that is absolutely impossible. As for the question of the decisive battle in the atmosphere raised by the other side, Xu Teng could also guess what the other side was thinking. It's not that they are afraid of seaside cities, and there are a series of big killers that are not used, and finally cause fatal injuries to them. The actual situation is, there is really no big killer on the seashore now. The only missiles have been launched, and conventional weapons have no effect in the face of a space fighter like Liberty. Dragon number 1 feat has shields as defenses. Not to mention the High Priest, who is backed by the Death God civilization. Others are not fools. The only thing that can break the defense is the Sanctioner Mecha, but the only 2 Sanctioner Mecha warriors on the beach are all in a state of battle damage. The good news is that Yuan Wei and Chen Yong are not on danger, just in a state of severely damaged internal organs. The 2 who faced the Hyena missiles were really tough, but if they didn't have the genetic optimization fluid and the star iron technology that they entered before, it is not easy to save the lives of the 2 of them. Conventional weapons didn't work, and missile defenses were gone, and for a split second, Xu Teng still realized the lack of firepower. The nearby Sanctioner Mecha is on its way. After a while, the collective defense can be completed. Actually, Xu Teng didn't want to expand the battlefield near the ground either, because the firepower of the 2 sides cannot be measured by common sense. Those who died by then were all residents of the coastal city. This is also the reason why Xu Teng let them go. As for Red Dragon number 1, is it going to go up to the atmosphere for a 1-on-5 challenge? Through data analysis, the opponent's fighter in the Red Dragon number 1, there is a certain gap. Specific aspects: energy, material, artificial intelligence, specific data. The other party uses a pentagram array to increase the energy output of the fighter, which is essentially to increase the utilization of fossil energy, material. The hardness of the material is added through the matrix of the pentagram. When passing through the atmosphere, there will be a certain degree of turbulence. The other party is suspected of using the development level of the brain domain for real-time communication, because I have not received the news report of Anzi. The advantage is, I have no way to intercept the specific data, and the disadvantage is also very obvious. The other party cannot process a large amount of information at the same time data, in a very short period of time. Xinghu compared the opponent's fighter data with its own Red Dragon number 1. This is what Xu Teng has been waiting for. Just kidding. If you want to be singled out with me, I must go on it. Back then, when your 5 freedoms came in, how come you never saw that it was a 2-on-2 fight with our sanctioner mecha warriors? The power of the primary mecha does not have the ability to challenge, and the power of the intermediate mecha has a certain ability to challenge. After receiving Xinghu's data feedback, Xu Teng's mind began to stabilize. Do not understand what is called. The strategy is in the curtain, and the decisive victory is thousands of miles away. You will be counted to death so that you can perform again in front of a global audience. How to reflect the traditional skills of death in the face of beatings in a different way. The voices of the Liberty members can be heard by audiences around the world. Hey, no. That new fighter is really a space fighter. It seems yes, otherwise the other party will not say that they are waiting for you in the atmosphere. Damn it, I have to say that the word atmosphere is really handsome. It's not just about being handsome. Didn't you find that the fighter that Xu Teng was flying was a little too high profile? Come on, if I had a space fighter, I'd be louder than him. How cool. You said, will Xu Teng take on the challenge? Probably not. 1 fights 5, it's too fierce to ride a horse. 2, just when everyone thought that Xu Teng would not be able to fight, Red Dragon number 1 moved. Chapter 415, The Weakness of the Team. Under the shocking gaze of everyone, he rose directly from midair without hesitation and drove towards the atmosphere. I rely, is this person crazy? Really want 1 to fight 5? No, I remember that Long Guo didn't lift a ban on files some time ago. I remember that the title corresponding to Xu Teng's name is, the youngest academician in the history of Long Guo. That's right, not only that, but I heard that I have used my own power to make amazing changes in the technology of the Dragon Kingdom today. The High Priest who is watching the live broadcast must be laughing. There is a saying in the cognition of normal people, that is, the greater the contribution to the country's science and technology, the more comprehensive protection that person will receive in all aspects. But now Xu Teng's approach has penetrated everyone's cognition. This scientific researcher seems to have surpassed ordinary people's achievements not only in scientific research, but also in the aspect of self-protection ability. Could it be that the almighty scientific researchers are also full of combat effectiveness? But the High Priest who was watching the live broadcast did not think of this. Specifically, the moment when Xu Teng launched the Red Dragon number 1 into the sky, the High Priest was indeed in front of the screen, and his face was numb with laughter. With a wave of his hand, light emerged from the body and gradually formed a screen. Among them happened to be the 5 members of the crew of the Liberty. This method of communication consumes too much energy, and the High Priest will not use it until an emergency. But now, it's an emergency. Quick fight, change the target of the raid plan, shoot down Xu Teng's fighter jet, and kill him. After this, leave the battlefield immediately. The seaside is no longer your goal. Clear. With a wave of his hand, the black screen instantly dissipated. From the time when the Red Dragon 1 appeared, the High Priest also understood one thing. The best time to raid has been missed. The plan to completely disrupt the waterfront will never succeed. On the contrary, Xu Teng, who valued Long Guo and was willing to spend all his resources to cultivate it, was wiped out. It is also the most successful point of this mission. I don't believe it. You can lose 1 out of 5. What are you? You really think you are the son of destiny? At this time, not only the High Priest thought so, the confidence of the 5 team members was also bursting. If it wasn't for a steady performance, they couldn't help but celebrate in advance. I'll make the main attack later and take the lead. You will assist from the side. Remember one sentence: quick battle and quick decision. Although we chose the atmospheric decisive battle to avoid conventional weapon strikes, you have also seen that they also have combat resources such as mechas. If it drags on and their support arrives in time, it will be all of us in the end. Clear. This battle will be the time for us to become famous at Blue Star as the protagonist. Xu Teng is not in a hurry to increase the speed of the Red Dragon number 1. Release the reconnaissance plane and find out all the enemy's positions. Clear. The Red Dragon number 1 opened the backup cabin, and a group of small drones flew rapidly. When all the state machinery is turned for you, The effect is astonishing. Anti-gravity engines are not only used in space fighters, such as the Sanctioner Mecha and the Red Dragon No. 1 inches. On the contrary, many derivative military technologies have also been developed. The B reconnaissance aircraft is like that use the anti-gravity engine to reduce the weight of its own body to the lightest, and at the same time because of the super anti-gravity energy it can fly faster and higher than the average unmanned reconnaissance aircraft. The height of the atmosphere is not their limit. Release jammers that sideways interfere with their brainwave communication, reducing their ability to process messages clear, under a series of orders from Xu Teng. The backup compartment of the Red Dragon No. 1 kept opening and closing because the whole process is assisted by Xinghu's super artificial intelligence. Every release is unknowable. The High Priest changed them to improve their physical fitness, but there were also a certain amount of deficiencies that is monitoring the surrounding environment. This is also why Xinghu first judged the freedom as being between the planetary civilization and the interstellar civilization rather than a true interstellar civilization, because interstellar war is far from improving the physical fitness of individuals. To a certain extent the road rolled over information suppression, weapon fire support, information processing, all-round multi-directional operation. Only then can a war be characterized as for what the Liberty said to be heads up. Sorry, Xu Teng is not a fool either. Are you one? I'm the one who singled out your group. Even if you were unkind in the first place, then don't blame me for being unrighteous. Can the position of the enemy plane be captured? The database model is in progress. The establishment is completed. As a result, a series of information appeared on the screen of Red Dragon No. 1. 5 red dots appeared at once. They formed a position of mutual restraint. One fighter was at the forefront, and the other 4 were nearby. The position of the main attacker has been found. After thinking for a while, Xu Teng issued a new order: re-establish the data analysis model. Who is the weakest among the 5 fighters? Okay, the moment he saw them line up, Xu Teng understood one thing: there is a certain argument that they are lined up like this. For example, there is one of the weakest players among them. The position of the main attacker is the strongest person. The first contact battle with Red Dragon No. 1 will inevitably bear the greatest pressure. Those besieging wingmen seem to be looking for opportunities, but more likely, they are hiding their weaknesses. Xinghu knew what Xu Teng was thinking. After all, super artificial intelligence is no joke. The original video has been recalled. It happened that when a Liberty faced the Sonic Blade missile, it made a different choice than the other 4 aircraft. They all exceeded the speed of the missile, and a dashing U-turn instantly exploded the sound blade, and that one flew directly into the atmosphere, so that the sound blade missile could not catch up, so it was helpless to detonate. It is matching. The matching is successful, and the location has been confirmed in an instant. A red dot that was marked with extra emphasis appeared at the top of the screen at the end of the 5-man team, and the other 4 aircraft vaguely tend to protect it. It turns out that you are here, and your weakness has been found. Xinghu, go, goodly. Chapter 416 No. 5 Annihilation. The chosen people of God created by the God of Death are different from the industry elites selected by other civilizations. They basically don't have their own name, just a code name, because the different combination sequences of pentagrams can exert a powerful black fog transformation effect. It takes a long time for other civilizations to cultivate elites, but the High Priest is different. Almost equivalent to mass production among the Liberty. No. 1 is the captain and is the strongest. The larger the serial number, the worse its overall strength, and No. 5 is the weak point of the entire team, which can also be called a breakthrough. Not only the results obtained by Xinghu through big data analysis, but they themselves understand this truth. Therefore, while taking the offensive position, he also vaguely guarded No. 5. Get up, the enemy may appear in the next position, clear. The 5 team members also knew very well that Xu Teng agreed to the request for a duel, so that he would not be so stupid that he rushed out of everyone's sight and duel with them. If the other party really did this, everyone would only laugh at him for being a nerd who was doing scientific research in order to prevent Xinghu from using NN to intercept too much information. Their communication relies entirely on the platform constructed by their own brain waves in the field of information security. It is indeed to the point of defense, but just like what Xinghu analyzed, it reduced their ability to analyze data and control the overall situation. Did you find anything? 3 minutes have passed, and the captain has a bad feeling. Can't show it yet, otherwise, the team will definitely be in complete chaos. No, I don't have it here either. Nothing unusual was found nearby. After waiting for a few seconds, when the captain was about to speak, he suddenly realized that something was wrong. Where's No. 5? Where's No. 5? What the hell is going on here? Everyone was shocked. After immersing part of their spirits, they found that the figure of number 5, who was originally on the communication platform, slowly dissipated. Fake. No, we were good all the way. Why did the number 5 suddenly disappear? No. The 4 began to realize a point that had been overlooked before. Number 5 basically takes more than a minute. Toy didn't speak before. I thought it was just that there was no intelligence report. Looking at it now, the whole game started to go down more than a minute ago. At this time, the audience watching the live broadcast was in an uproar. This battle is for the high priests to make their name of the god of death civilization, not only from the perspective of the whole situation, but also from the different perspectives of the 5 team members. More than a minute ago, someone attentive noticed something was wrong. Why? The other players don't speak anymore. It is estimated that there is no valuable information found. No, it's not right. The situation in the sky is unpredictable. And under such high pressure, they will communicate frequently. After all, Xu Teng is in the dark, and they are in the light, so you can't communicate for such a long time, unless some people have guessed a little, but can't believe it, because no one has ever heard of it. In such a short period of time, the communication signal of the other party can be cracked. This is a civilization supported by the god of death. In the past, when the beautiful country played against them, which time was not pressed and beaten. In fact, the global audience watching the live broadcast will see it in the next second. From the very beginning, the arrangements for you were made clear with a swish. The figures of the 4 players in front disappeared immediately. At this moment, a familiar voice came out. So, are you ready to die? Obviously, the tone is nice and deep, which is the type that everyone likes. But for number 5, the cold sweat broke out at that moment, and the whole body had goosebumps. He, the weakest in the team, raised the height of the fighter in embarrassment in the face of the Sound Blade missile series, escaping all the way to the atmosphere. Not to mention facing such a suffocating demon king alone in their world. There has long been a saying, don't try to go head-to-head with Xu Teng, because no one has ever been able to survive after confronting him head-on. Facing him alone is like facing death alone. Later, it even evolved into saying death is knocking on the door. No, it was me who knocked on the door, and Xu Teng was the one who knocked on the door. You can't hit me. We said it was a heads up. Under great psychological pressure, number 5 has begun to babble. Oh, one-on-one, isn't it one-on-one? Xinghu violently invaded the Liberty's information management system, and when it was completely resolved, it was ready to extract more useful information from the fighter. Whether it is a planetary civilization or an interstellar civilization, pilots are the most valuable fighters, and even mass-produced, they are more valuable than other mass-produced fighters. Listening to the voice of the invasion in the Liberty fighter plane, number 5 was a little confused. Xu Teng is right, one-on-one, isn't it a heads up? Die? Xu Teng never thought to have a bloody plot with the other party that dragged the time and was rescued. Xu Teng wouldn't even say a word if it wasn't for the fact that he didn't have enough time to activate the fighter's automatic defense system in order to put a huge psychological pressure on the opponent. This is Xinghu's suggestion after analyzing Big Data Penfun library. The protective shield of the number 5 fighter began to be automatically collapsing. A large group of small drones suddenly flew out from the side. This is the latest suicide drone developed by Xu Teng, the Scorpion. The Scorpion relies on the energy provided by the tail to fly. And of course its main attack method is the energy from the tail, because the small energy will be transformed into a small bomb with destructive power and blasting ding dong ding dong. The Scorpion drone stabbed the energy barb from its tail above the Liberty, and the crisp sound was like a doorbell. It was me who knocked on the door. The 5th thought of this sentence again. You cannot. Boom. A violent explosion sounded, and the frightened eyes of number 5 appeared in front of Xu Teng. Next second the thick blue light shot directly at it. Boom. Symbol of Blue Star's strongest top fighter, Liberty. It was destroyed just like this in the atmosphere. They are coming. Well, I see. Turning his head, Xu Teng didn't even look at the Liberty, and controlled the Red Dragon 1 to quickly disappear. Turn the jammer frequency to maximum again. Clear. Chapter 417 Hallucinations appear. Just 10 seconds after Xu Teng controlled the Red Dragon number 1 and left, the other 4 came to the place where the 2 were fighting. With the Freedom being completely destroyed, the number 5 has long been absent from the vicinity, and it is impossible to find it. But there is the smell of gunpowder that is not completely dissipated and traces of rolling black mist. I feel it. Number 5 was indeed here just now. It can be sensed from the remaining black fog. He was a little. Number 2 was silent for a while. The captain directly said what he did not express in the end. Not a little, but quite frightening. Immediately afterwards, the atmosphere became a little silent. Originally, The five came here with the intention of completely crushing them. Both the high priest and all their staff agree on one truth: the Dragon Kingdom may really have the technology to create a spaceship, but it can't be so fast. Even if the time is so fast, it is absolutely impossible to be so advanced in technology on the road of scientific research. It has never been so smooth, from scratch, from low to high. It always takes time to fill, but as the war escalated, they understood one thing. Our concept seems to be wrong in the face of the beautiful country. They have always been crushing and have never lost, but facing Xu Teng, they weren't always crushed and never won. As for the reason why number 5 couldn't even fight back in fear was even more unexpected to the four of them. Is knocking on the door? No, it was me who knocked on the door. At this moment, the four of them suddenly remembered this inappropriate name. Quick, be alert. What we have to do is not to be depressed. We just found an opportunity to break through alone. The captain began to cheer everyone up, because he knew that this scene was not only known to the four of them. The global live broadcast has never been interrupted, and now all the audiences around the world are watching, including the high priest behind it. This raid plan has completely changed the target in the original plan. It's good that they can obliterate Xu Teng above the atmosphere. If they can't do it, they don't even think about going back, because the live broadcast originally used for Liwei turned into performance of full. The ball is beaten live online. When you go back, do you still want to die? Impossible things. There are four of us. Even if he is proficient in the fighters under his seat, what can he change? Find him quickly, then annihilate without giving him a chance to fight back. Although the captain's words did not play a role in boosting morale at all, however, everyone suddenly wanted to understand one thing. That is, if you lose the battle, it is impossible to survive by luck. The classic saying of the high priest, the civilization of death will not raise waste. And our interstellar culture is that everyone has the opportunity to evolve. Those wastes that cannot evolve will be eliminated by us. If they lose, they are just trash who can only be eliminated by the fittest. When you think about it, what if words of encouragement don't inspire people? You lose, maybe you can survive. We lose, and we lose our lives. Yes, take the initiative to solve Xu Teng quickly. A person, count something. The remaining four were forcibly set on fire at this time. The high priest who was watching the live broadcast was just like everyone thought. A black fog rolled and slammed, filling the entire room directly. The light was so bright that the surrounding space was slightly distorted. It's fine for you to win. If you lose, become my nourishment. Unlike the high priest's annoyed mood, the global audience watching the live broadcast was taken aback. Fuck, can this win? Besides, Xu Teng directly gave the opponent's number 5. Fuck, that suicide drone is so handsome. Ding dong. Ding dong, the sound is very nice. Upstairs, please pay attention, because you are watching the live broadcast. So it sounds good. If you are the party, you will directly scare the urine. Damn, I put in the client's feelings. I don't think it sounds good at all. It's just death knocking on the door. Academician Su is really handsome. Especially the last sentence. Are you ready to die? Yes, yes, and the phrase one-on-one, not one-on-one. At that moment, number 5 was a little less confident. Academician Su, rush. Although people with different skins are watching the live broadcast at this time, but from the bottom of my heart, most people want Xu Teng to win because Xu Teng is a native of Blue Star. On the other hand, the civilization represented has basically broken away from the logo of the Blue Stars. Only some leaders of the beautiful country frowned. What do you think the high priest is like? The subordinate ignored the commander's words and said cautiously, it should be possible to communicate. After all, the predecessor was also at Blue Star. The frowning leader meditated again. Pen fun library, but subordinates always have a bad feeling. At this time, the other four increased their communication frequency because, just now, they felt another invasion from Xu Teng. How do I feel that the frequency of the other party's invasion actions has increased? It's data. The captain gave an explanation after thinking for a while. Material. The next second, suddenly realized 5 didn't die in vain. Xu Teng would definitely make an invasion before the Liberty fighter jets exploded. It is an intrusion into this piece of data at that moment. Number 5 has no value. However, the fighter has enough value to function, like a vault. So attractive, everyone scolded in their hearts. I really convinced you, the 5th, and it didn't work at all. On the contrary, the action of paving the way for the enemy is quite fast. Just when the four of them were about to change the frequency again, they suddenly found that there was a dazzling red in front of them. Xu Teng, choo choo choo. The hyena missile was launched instantly, but the moment the missile was pressed, the four felt something was wrong. The imaginary explosion scene did not appear, and the 3 hyena missiles passed directly through the red fighter. "What are you doing?" the captain asked angrily. "Xu Teng, he didn't appear just now." "Yes, Captain, I saw it too." "Me too." The next second, the 3 of them reacted. If it was Xu Teng, it would be impossible to avoid a hyena missile at such a close distance. However, the explosion did not appear so. Are we hallucinating? Chapter 418. I am here. If it is other civilizations, it is basically impossible to have hallucinations when fighting in the atmosphere because fighter assistance systems rely on artificial intelligence to collect data and voice broadcast prompts. But the civilization of the God of Death took a different path. They relied too much on pentagrams, and the grassroots of the entire civilization relies on the combination of pentagrams to generate black fog. This will directly improve your physical fitness. The upside, mass-produced elites. The downside, as Xinghu said, there is limited data to collect and limited data to analyze. The disadvantages are even more obvious. If someone interferes with their brainwaves, the image seen is not necessarily the real image apparently. The remaining 4 also realized this. "Captain, what should I do?" Xu Teng seems to have realized this. Number 4 panicked originally. He was not a bottom person, and there was number 5 in the team. Now that number 5 is gone, number 4 has naturally become a breakthrough in the team. He was the first to discover the red dragon. Number 1. He thought he was going to make a great contribution, and his body was shaking with excitement. But as the hyena missile shot out, it hit the hallucination. The boiling blood immediately became extremely cold at that moment, and I couldn't help thinking of the last picture of analyzing number 5 in my mind. Screamed in horror. "Not even a single counterattack. Everyone, bring the distance a little closer. Don't be too far apart. From now on, no matter what you see, don't immediately launch hyena missiles. Adjust the frequency of your own brain waves." To be honest, the captain is also very helpless about the current situation. When they exercised with the captured fighter jets of the beautiful country, they had never encountered such a dilemma at that time. It was directly rolled all the way. It is absolutely impossible for the brain waves to be deciphered by the other party, let alone cause hallucinations. Moreover, the gap between technology is really too big. It can't fly the Freedom. Even if it stops in mid-air to attack the enemy, it can't even break the shield. What is despair? That's called despair. But now, the situation has completely turned around. Obviously, there is no interstellar civilization behind the other party with the aid of science and technology. Why is it that we are left behind? They have been in the atmosphere for more than 10 minutes. The initial quick-fix strategy was completely delayed, and now it has become a protracted war. The Liberty's fuselage has begun to jolt slightly, and the energy is slowly dropping. Everything is starting to turn unfavorable. The Liberty is not a real product of interstellar civilization, because there are some materials that are not available on the Blue Star, and the High Priest can only find some substitutes. Not only the captain knows, but all the players know this information. Liberty can only stay in the atmosphere for 15 minutes, which is the limit. After 15 minutes, cracks will appear in the fuselage, and the energy supply will not keep up. Hateful Four's voice interrupted the captain's thoughts just now. The figure of Red Dragon number 1 appeared again. Compared to the last time, number 4 became more cautious this time, and only fired a bunch of machine guns. After the addition of the pentagram, the power of the machine gun is much greater than that of the machine guns made by other countries on the Blue Star. In the end, it was the machine gun bullet that passed through the fuselage of the Red Dragon number 1. Another hallucination. The captain pursed his lips, and now the interval between hallucinations is getting shorter and shorter. Pen Fun Library. Even the 4 of them have been adjusting the frequency of their brainwaves, constantly changing the rate at which they can access information. After all, Xu Teng was still staring at him. "Team leader, I know, I'm trying to figure it out." From the side, Xu Teng is near us, very close to us. In fact, everything is exactly as the captain analyzed. Xu Teng was getting closer and closer to them. Increasing the frequency of the jammer can already increase the trouble for the 4 people to distinguish, but the risks borne have also started to skyrocket. The other party found out that he could hack into their brain waves, so he kept adjusting the frequency in order to continue the hallucinations. Xu Teng kept approaching them. Fortunately, they used brainwave detection, and the speed of mental calculation is somewhat really, all artificial intelligence is used. At this point, you must be able to find that Xu Teng is not far above the heads of the 4. The frequency has been collected, and the analysis is in progress. Analysis, whether, perform another brainwave intrusion interference. Look at the number of times displayed at the top of the screen. 2. Xu Teng fell into a state of thinking. Just as the captain had guessed, the frequency of the jammer was limited, especially with the maximum power running all the time. The energy is about to run out now. It's only enough to launch 2 hallucination attacks, use it again, twice in a row. The third time, launch the real attack. At that time, focus all the firepower on number 4, clear Xing, who also knew exactly what Xu Teng was thinking about next. Attack their psychological defenses with 2 consecutive hallucinations under short-term high-frequency false attacks. Their computing power will be weakened, and in an instant, the next attack will be subconsciously regarded as a false attack. Although it is still protecting the formation of number 4, the overall defense will begin to decline at this point. There will be a breakthrough, and Xu Teng used that breakthrough to release all the jammers and suicide scorpion drones. Beat the number 4, the jammer starts running again, and the count on the screen drops to 1. Through the screen, Xu Teng could already see that the other party was overwhelmed. Again, following Xinghu's order, the jammers began to gather. This is to prepare for the upcoming attack on the battlefield. Every second is precious. Opportunities are fleeting now. Through Xinghu's brainwave intrusion, Xu Teng could already hear their complaints. Fuck, again, it's still fake. Why are all of them fake? Xu Teng, you are at this level. Team leader, the time for the classic captain for help is here again. Shut up, don't talk. Xu Teng's eyes lit up, and number 1 also had a moment of decadence. Right now, Xinghu immediately launched the biggest attack, clear at this moment. Red Dragon number 1 appeared in everyone's field of vision for the first time. Soaring nose, dazzling red painted fuselage, every part of the body is proclaiming in a high-profile way, lags, here I come. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 419. Compared to Xu Teng's high profile, the other party obviously did not respond. It's not that I didn't see the Red Dragon number 1. Instead, the nerves that were tortured by the hallucinations were a little weak, and the repeated wolves came made it difficult for them to tell them apart in a short period of time. This time, is it real or fake, Captain? Number 4 stopped as soon as he called out, because he also knows that this behavior is a bit annoying. Obviously, I'm just your teammate. But you make me look like your mother, and call me if there is any problem. How? I treat you as a team member, and you treat me as your mother, and from the perspective of strength, the captain is much stronger than his number 4. What even he can see, the captain can't see. Buzzing, another annoying sound. A dense group of small planes rushed over here. What exactly do these do? In fact, in the bottom of my heart, number 4 still wanted to see if this group of small planes could bring harm to the Liberty. Only Liberty's time in the atmosphere will also reach its limit. Getting closer, dense drone swarms, high-profile airframes. At this moment, it seemed that the focus of the world was all on the Red Dragon number 1. Well, something seems wrong. In the past, the illusion was not so close to the ground, because it was easy to see all the weaknesses at the moment of closing the distance. But now, they are almost outputting face to face, and the other party's speed still hasn't weakened a bit. Not only the images, but even the sounds are all very real. The captain's voice immediately awakened everyone. Quick, launch a counterattack. This time Xu Teng is coming for real. The words are not over yet. The dense drone swarm exploded in front of the 4 in an instant. Boom rumble. The red light soaring into the sky made the 4 of them fall into trance for a moment. Not only these, the spiritual link is also affected at this moment. The location that was originally shared by brain waves was immediately interrupted. The 4 of them fought together in a group, and it became a battle of their own. Xinghu released the poisonous scorpion. Clear. Ding dong, ding dong. Swarms of scorpions stare on the fuselage of the number 4. The reaction of the number 4 is indeed much faster than that of the number 5. In an instant, the fighter's automatic defense system was turned on. Bang bang bang. The shield blocked some of the scorpions, but more scorpions had inserted the energy modules from the tail into the Liberty's fuselage. At this moment, number 4 finally understands number 5's original mood. A series of ding-dong sounds above his head were like doorbells, all of which were urging his life. Before number 4's voice could be shouted, there was a violent explosion above his head. Boom boom. The shield was broken in an instant, and most of the fuselage was destroyed, especially the position of the energy supply, where the pentagram pattern could be seen at this time. On the Liberty, the loopholes in the defense were obvious. Whether to open the power of intermediate mecha. Yes, unlike the last time, this time, the number 4 was taken out of the 4 when designing the Red Dragon 1. Xu Teng considered some extreme situations. For example, right now under the siege of everyone, How can the potential value of Red Dragon number 1 be developed to the greatest extent? Activate the power of the intermediate mecha. This is Xu Teng's answer. The reason why the control room of Red Dragon number 1 is set up is a little bigger than that of ordinary space fighters. The reason is for Xu Teng to be able to perform a large amount of operations when he puts on the Sanctioner Mecha Boom Rumble. With Xu Teng's mid-level mecha power activated, Red Dragon number 1 also entered a state of extreme load. The anti-gravity engine began to roar in the terrified eyes of number 4. The distance between them was shortened at once through the transparent glass window. Xu Teng could even see the rolling black mist on number 4's body, as well as the pale face exposed. Number 4 also wanted to use words to interfere with Xu Teng. When all the defenses on Liberty were knocked down, then he knew he was going to die at this moment. A broken Liberty is incapable of guaranteeing the safety of number 4's life. This is the atmosphere. At the beginning, in order to prove their country's technology and show their crushing strength, Xu Teng was obliterated here. I chose this place on purpose, but the result is, if they fail, they don't even want to live alone. Dig your own grave, and verbal interference is the only possibility for him to survive. However, Xu Teng didn't give him this chance. Xinghu, shoot around with full firepower. Clear. The gorgeous fuselage of the Red Dragon number 1 began to open, and rows of black muzzles appeared. It's a modified blaster. In fact, it can no longer be said to be a gun, but a cannon. A faint blue laser cannon. One after another faint blue light began to store energy in front of the dark muzzle, and the suicide jammer madly drilled into the fuselage of the Liberty. Captain, save me. 4's voice was low and full of despair. Just hearing a few words made everyone unbearable. Next second the laser cannons fired in unison, and the fuselage of the Liberty burst into the sky with red light. The faint blue and red light echo each other, brilliant and eye-catching. Boom, boom. A mushroom cloud appeared in the atmosphere at this moment. Walk. Xu Teng didn't even look back to see what happened to number 4, because Xinghu's message has already begun to sound the alarm. Locked by number 1 machine, locked by the second machine, locked by number 3 machine. When Xu Teng saturated Rumble 1's own firepower for a round, the other 3 finally regained consciousness. Look and don't look at the destroyed number 4 machine at the same time. Lock the Red Dragon number 1 at close range. This was the closest they were to Xu Teng's fighter plane. The high-spirited nose looked like a hidden dragon and looked down at everything. The high-profile painting seems to announce the world submission can lead to life, otherwise, one must die. But at this time, among the thoughts of the 3, there was only one thought: Xu Teng, die for me. The attack firepower of the 3 freedoms instantly reached a saturated attack situation. Hyena missiles roared out, spike machine guns roared endlessly, and mental attacks continued to target Red Dragon 1. At this moment, Xinghu's alarm sounded loudly. Warning, has been locked by missiles. Warning, the countdown is expected to hit 5 seconds. The mental attack is being resolved. Xu Teng, who was sitting in the control position, was also calm. Xinghu, change me to manual control. Chapter 420. The automatic control of the Red Dragon 1 is for convenience with Xinghu's super artificial intelligence to process data. There will be no problems, but if you want to play the potential of the Red Dragon 1, it can only be adjusted to manual mode. Many details cannot be achieved simply by information processing, especially Xu Teng, who is blessed with intermediate mecha power, has a potential beyond imagination. Once Xinghu used big data for analysis, the result. But there was a temporary downtime. Red Dragon number 1 has been adjusted to manual control. At this moment, bright rays of light began to emerge from the body of the Sanctioner. Everything around him started to slow down, and Xu Teng's message began to be accepted faster. Pen fun library. A lot of data floods into the brain. In the next second, it was dealt with. Estimated time to hit, 2 seconds. Xu Teng looked at the information and found that the hyena missiles launched by the other party were not launched at the same time. They were separated by a second. Therefore, the time between the 3 missiles is also 1 second apart. The first hyena missile is definitely impossible to escape, and can only choose to hit. When it hits, the damage to the shield will drop to 80%. But at the same time, there will be a slight angle deflection. If the power of the Red Dragon number 1 itself is also included, you can use these deflection angles to accelerate in another way, pulling the distance between the 2 missiles below. After each command was entered, Xu Teng's hands almost appeared after images on the console of the Red Dragon number 1. The angle of the number 1 anti-gravity engine is deflected 3 degrees north-south. The angle of the number 2 anti-gravity engine is deflected 30 degrees northeast. When the position of Red Dragon number 1 has just been adjusted, boom, directly hit by hyena missiles just as Xu Teng planned, a subtle angular deflection was performed at this moment. The slight deviation of the angle of the 2 anti-gravity engines, coupled with the impact of the missile, just formed the acceleration whoosh. The second hyena missile rubbed the side of the Red Dragon 1. The same goes for the third hyena missile. Then, there was another beautiful reversal, and the 3 Liberty were evaded by the machine gun bullets that were shot out. I'm riding a horse. Fake it. No, does this really work? The pilots of the 3 Liberty were stunned, which was different from the planned encirclement except for the first hyena missile. The remaining 2 rounds were all empty. Is it really possible to lose even a flying dragon riding a face? Just, what the hell is this? Is there really a human operation that can do this kind of thing? If they dodged a shot, they thought they might be lucky, but if it's the second shot, plus the bullets from the machine gun, it's not a matter of luck but real strength at this moment. All 3 have an illusion at the same time. Who is going to encircle and suppress whom? The decisive battle of the atmosphere can really be played like this. Then, the last person to be beaten. Isn't it us? The body of the Liberty has gradually changed from a subtle light sound to an endless vibration, and the material is not strong enough. The longer it drags on, the worse it will be for the 3 of them. Quick, turn around. Xu Teng's landline is now behind us. We can't let him hit the attack. Our Liberty can't withstand this kind of attack. The rows of dark blue laser cannons that everyone saw before, couldn't help but think of the scene where number 4 was completely blasted into scum. That is so cruel. Physical transcendence, in situ ascension. And Xu Teng, who turned his nose, had a clear goal. Xing, whose big data has analyzed the order of the attacking objects. Number 3 is the primary target of attack, and the overall response is weak. The fuselage has been vibrating endlessly. It only takes a volley of laser cannons to make him understand the desperation of number 4 and number 5. It is recommended to put number 1 on the final attack target. The strength of the captain will always do something surprising. Sometimes the fleeting fleet of fighters will cause a series of changes in local wars. Listening to Xing, whose voice prompt, Xu Teng responded very quickly. In fact, under the series of micro-manipulations just now, he escaped the bombardment of the hyena missile and the salvo of the machine gun. He felt that his physical fitness had reached another level. To be more precise, the id evolved from intermediate mecha power to advanced mecha power. Unleash your potential under great pressure. That was the forging method proposed by Xing, who after a series of inspections on him unexpectedly, it was released in this decisive battle in the atmosphere with the knocking of a series of instructions. The Red Dragon number 1 mobilized a row of excited cannons on the left. At the moment it was turned over, the anti-gravity engine entered the limit operation and made a roaring sound. Instantly approached the fuselage of number 3. The yellow shield can be observed at close range through the transparent glass, which is exceptionally clear. Unlike the other 2 team members, number 3's reaction speed was very fast, and it did not even reach the level of shielding. But, is that useful? Useless. The faint blue light was gathering. Xu Teng was determined to take down number 3. The rapid approach of the fighter plane almost reached the point where the Red Dragon number 1 inserted the laser muzzle into number 3's mouth. In great panic, number 3 shouted out the same words as them. Captain, save me. A huge roar sounded instantly, and the blue light that shot out made the energy tilt. The yellow shield was like thin paper, and was torn immediately. A chain reaction one after another appeared on the number 3 fighter. Another beautiful mushroom cloud appeared in the atmosphere. The remaining number 2 and number 1 were shocked and angry when they saw this scene. Surprisingly, in a very short period of time, another player was killed in front of them. If it drags on, it will definitely be them who are gone in the end, because, in the process of fighting, they have found a truth. The other side's fighter technology is much stronger than theirs. The anger is, this is live broadcast all over the world. Before we came, we said something in front of so many people. Atmospheric decisive battle is a result. Now the performance is, come on, you hit me in the atmosphere. I show a global audience how to live beating in the atmosphere. Hey, this will make people feel the traditional skill of the civilization under the god of death, how to perform a live broadcast and get beaten. We will die. The captain was completely angry, and his blood was on his head. Bite it hard. If it really doesn't work, we'll crash. Chapter 421, Impact Plan. Collision. The team members were stunned for a moment, thinking that they had heard it wrong. From the tumbling black mist of the captain, I could feel the change of emotions, anger, and death. But then I knew that what the captain said this time was true. If they can't knock down Xu Teng's Red Dragon number 1, they'll really have to drive the Liberty to hit it. 5 of the most elite pilots in active duty have arrived, driving what is known as the most powerful spaceship on Blue Star. But from the beginning, they did not have the crushing advantage with such a record. Do you still want to go back alive? The High Priest will never agree, and to a large extent will turn them into nourishment on the path of his own evolution. Especially so, It is better to die directly in the atmosphere. Alarm. Emotional fluctuations on the opposite side were detected. Xinghu's brainwave interference can not only cause hallucinations on the opposite side, but also detect some fluctuations. As an intimate artificial intelligence assistance system, it will naturally pay attention to the changes on the battlefield at all times. Analysis is underway to build a persona to predict the opponent's next move. In fact, as long as a data sample is large enough, the computing power of artificial intelligence is powerful enough, and it can infer how the opponent will make a choice through daily actions. Xu Teng was able to escape the encirclement and suppression of several people, partly because his own reaction speed was pulled up touched, advanced mecha power. The other part is because there's Xinghu next to assist. A sufficiently complete data model has been established to predict the general trend of the opposite. Alert, the emotional peak on the other side has exceeded expectations, and there may be dangerous behaviors if you miss a hit. The impact plan will be executed. Hit. When Xu Teng heard the news, he was stunned for a moment, and then he reacted. Xinghu has long reflected everything the high priest has done to him. In order to fight his own reputation, in order to expand his influence, he deliberately broadcasted his behavior this time around the world, or he actively invaded major networks around the world. That's why Xu Teng was willing to go to the atmosphere to fight them. Want to step on us to heaven, then let everyone see, even if it is backed by the civilization of the god of death. When will it be your turn to judge that the development of Blue Star's civilization will be inferior to yours in the future? As for using the liberty to hit the Red Dragon one, dreaming, just let you see what it is called, only fit to follow behind me. Xinghu, slow down the speed a bit so that they can catch up. But in fact, they will never catch up. Okay, you guys had a lot of fun over the seaside city when the support didn't arrive. Now let you feel that despair again. Now, advanced mecha power has been completely activated on Xu Teng's body. Compared to the initial moment, a little more freedom in action as Xu Teng's fingers fluttered. A series of commands were entered into Red Dragon number 1. The dual-core anti-gravity engine is constantly being adjusted to run from different directions. The soaring nose and high-profile paint have become the most eye-catching space fighters in the world at this point. The global audience in front of the screen was dumbfounded. They didn't expect that things would turn out like this in a short period of time. It is not surprising that the High Priest's scientific and technological civilization has built a space fighter because of the interstellar civilization of the level of death, but the Dragon Kingdom is a native Blue Star civilization and without the support of any country. It is surprising that the Red Dragon number 1 was independently developed because, how long has it been since the Foreign Ministry's global public statement came out? Not even a week. The invasion plan planned by the High Priest was hit hard here in the Dragon Kingdom. No, it's true that someone beats 1 out of 5. And one was fucked in secret, and another was fucked in front of you, and then, the rest are being walked in front of a dog, isn't it? That's all. I'm going, I can do it too. Ha ha ha. The beautiful country came out and was beaten. Look at the fact that you can't even build a frontier base. Xu Teng performs an online dog walk. Is the pentagram the best civilization in the universe? If I hadn't watched your performance, I would have believed it. One thing to say, the people on the High Priest side are really, if you have the guts, if there's an accident in the live broadcast, you dare to continue the broadcast. This man really can handle it. At this time, the people of Longo were also watching the live broadcast, and they were frantically carrying out public executions one by one on the internet. Every word was stuck in the heart of the High Priest. In fact, he thought about cutting off the global live broadcast now. In this situation, there is really no need to continue, because it has turned into a serious global live broadcast accident. But the key point is that the High Priest did not fully learn the technology transmitted. He just learned how to invade the global network, but he didn't know how to cut it off after the invasion. So desperate, if it doesn't work, you guys just wait to come back and be the nourishment for my evolution. Just as the captain had guessed, if they failed, the High Priest never thought about letting them go anyway. I have pentagram and black mist. What I want, I can just make it in batches. Elites don't exist. Elites who cannot complete their tasks well are not elites. They are just sacrifices for my evolution. At this point, the Liberty pilots in the atmosphere had already discovered the problem. Every time I look to catch up, I always hover at a fixed distance. If the Liberty's control system were all taken over by artificial intelligence, the precise distance would have been seen long ago, but because it is controlled semi-intelligently, they didn't feel it until now. Captain, Xu Teng is walking us like dogs. Damn, the captain realized it too. At this time, the outer paint of the Liberty had begun to detach apart, and the fuselage also began to vibrate violently. It's over. It's almost the limit of the Liberty. In fact, they also have a doubt. That is why the Red Dragon #1 has been driving above the atmosphere for so long. And there has been no problem. Could it be that Longo's scientific research technology is even higher than ours? Impossible. The homegrown planetary civilization wants to surpass the interstellar civilization. The gap is really too big, but now is not the time to consider this state. If they drag on, they will all be gone. Disconnect the communication and start the crash plan. Chapter 422 Crazy Things. Receive. Clear. With the transformation of the black mist, the other team members withdrew from the platform constructed by brainwaves one after another. Even if Xinghu has super powerful artificial auxiliary calculation, it is still unable to control everything. After all, the opposite is a real interstellar civilization, and Xinghu is far from developing into its strongest appearance. The opponent's implementation of the final collision plan is not without basis. Judging from the situation at the scene, the appearance of the Liberty has continued to crack, and the stability of the fuselage has been affected. Energy is also running out of steam. Either way, it's not the best state. On the contrary, the material of Red Dragon #1 is hard and resists various adverse effects. At the same time, the anti-gravity engine was not damaged in the slightest. In any case, it will not be hit by the Liberty. But there is one thing: the fuselage of Liberty has a pentagram. This is the source of energy, but also the transformation of life, and further, every pilot who sits on the Liberty can become the nourishment of the Liberty. They were able to instill their own vitality into the pentagram, so that in a very short period of time, the power of the Liberty exceeded the limit state. Fulfill the impact plan. This is also the reason why the captain asked them to withdraw from the communication platform. The private spheres of constructed brainwaves are draining their energy every minute. Judging from the action plan, #3 firmly bet the Red Dragon #1 at a distance, and the other two freedoms followed closely. When #3 charges, it will instantly attract Xu Teng's attention. However, #3 is not the key to launching the attack. The Liberty #2 and #1 in the back are the key to causing lethality, because the strength of the two of them is far higher than that of #3, can really hit the Red Dragon #1. Warn. The energy fluctuations of the opposite brain waves began to decline, slipping. At this time, Xu Teng is under the high-speed analysis of data. There are two scenarios in which there is a decline. One is that their own state is bound to decline over time. The other is to show weakness first, paralyze the opponent, and then the last wave of fish will die and the net will break. From the analysis of the current state, the probability of the first type is relatively high because the fuselage has begun to fall off. Xinghu has already transmitted the dynamic changes of the other party. It looks like the Liberty's limit is approaching, but, combined with the behavior of the High Priest, can be analyzed if the mission fails. The three of them will definitely not be able to survive. If they go back, it will only become a sacrifice for evolution. Under such high-intensity pressure, everyone will die anyway, so why not be honorable? After all, it can be successfully transformed under the erosion of black mist. They are all evil people. It may also be the last desperate fight, but no matter which one you choose, it doesn't matter anymore. Drip drip. The communication message sounded after being connected. Xu Teng didn't speak yet. On the opposite side, he took the initiative to speak. Academician Xu, we are the Sanctioner Mecha warriors who came to support and have reached the atmosphere. There are 10 seconds left before your location. This is Xu Teng's backhand. If you want to duel, I will play with you first. However, in the end, who will be singled out, it may be uncertain. Okay, if you see the enemy's space fighter jets, you can fire at will. At the same time, you must also pay attention to your own safety. After thinking about it, Xu Teng specially mentioned, this is the atmosphere, don't mess around. Don't use your body to pick it up, you will die. Clear. At the moment of supporting the seashore, seeing the city's Sanctioner Mecha warrior directly use his body to hardwire the hyena missile, it really touched him a little. There are only the last 3 left now. Although the opposite is a bit strange if you think about it, you will definitely do some unreasonable actions, but with the equipment of the configuration of Red Dragon #1, coupled with the reaction of advanced mecha power, in any case, there is no need for that series of dangerous operations. Not only Xu Teng, but audiences around the world discovered the crisis of the Liberty, from the camera's point of view. It looks like Liberty is running out of atmosphere. I also found out that the shaking of the lens has become stronger. It seems that a small fragment flashed through the middle of the lens just now. Can the plane driven by Xu Teng on the opposite side? Good, like nothing at all. Not only is there nothing, the operation is a little smoother than the people on the High Priest side. So, traditional skills are really just being beaten live online. Looking at this sentence, I don't know why, but I feel that something is wrong. However, nothing seems to be wrong. Then, it must be desperate. At this time, Everyone present had this idea: if you drag it further, it will be GG if you don't work hard. The tombstone will be carved for you. Bang bang bang. A large amount of black fog began to emerge from number 3's body, rushing towards the fuselage of number 3 Liberty. When the fuselage is covered, the pentagram hidden under the fuselage begins to glow and has a tendency to rotate worn. The pentagram energy of the opposite fighter began to react violently. Energy is converging, it is in a state of improvement, and it is possible to make a collision hit. Hearing this, Xu Teng understood co-authoring means that you will not survive anyway, so it is better to give it a try at the last moment. That shouldn't just be number 3, the latter two will definitely have such plans. Xinghu, judging from the information you intercepted, can we block the impact of number 3? According to the analysis of the information, the protection level of the Red Dragon number 1's shield is set to the maximum. When number 3 hits, we are in the warning area and so on, which can be blocked. However, if it is hit by number 2 and number 1 at this moment, the shield will be damaged. This will affect the Red Dragon number 1 and make it completely lose its ability to fly. So, I just need to avoid the 2 people behind. Even if it is accidentally hit by number 2, the shield will only be damaged, and it will not affect the flight of Red Dragon number 1. Actually, Xu Teng and the High Priest have the same idea now. It's live broadcast all over the world. You like to create momentum. Originally, it was to show your popularity and shock, but this is not an opportunity for Xu Teng. Wouldn't it be more comfortable to use your ability to defeat you in your proudest position? Xinghu, turn on the shield to the maximum. Let's do some crazy things. Clear. Chapter 423, The Classics will live forever. As number 3 poured its own life force into the pentagram, the speed of number 3 Liberty accelerated a lot. The distance from the Red Dragon number 1 is slowly approaching. Xu Teng should have known about her plan, because the mutation is too obvious. In many contexts, Xu Teng is not a brainless person, but it doesn't matter. If you know it, you will know it. If you don't know something, you can stay on the defensive. When the speed is flying, the response is the key. Besides, it's also a price to pay for your own arrogance. Not only was Xu Teng able to guess their plan of action, but the remaining 3 team members were somewhat aware of why Xu Teng had been playing guerrilla warfare with them. Pen Fun Library. It is to let the global audience see how far the technology of the High Priest is different from that of the Dragon Kingdom at this time. Number 3's consciousness gradually blurred. He used his own source of life as a driving force to launch the Liberty, and the feeling of this passing of life was unpleasant. A little closer, just a little bit, and one last hyena missile, just as the prayer finally got an answer. The distance really shortened a little bit. You can even see the golden appearance on the Red Dragon 1. Huh? What is that? Forget it. There is no need to worry anymore. Just hit it at this time. Number 3's eyes were red, like a gambler who had reached the end. Xu Teng, you die for me. At this moment, the pentagram radiated bright light, and the speed was instantly increased to the extreme. It hit the Red Dragon number 1. He also launched a hyena missile along the way. The eyes of number 2 and number 1 who followed behind instantly lit up. Really? Bump into it, hyena missile. It's also launched. There's, right, boom. First, the hyena missile hit it, emitting a dazzling light. Immediately afterwards, a mushroom cloud rose. And then a dull crash was heard. The minds of number 2 and number 1 rose to a tense moment. In an instant, the hope that had just emerged was immediately cut off from the fire and turned into despair. A golden light reflected from the Red Dragon number 1, boom, hit by 2, began to lift debris above the fuselage. I rely on. What is this? He doesn't seem to have anything at all. The firelight that the 2 were looking forward to did not appear on the fuselage of Red Dragon number 1. Not only that, but even a little broken debris could not be found. It is still a high-spirited nose, high-profile painting. If there is anything to say, it is that there is a golden shield on the periphery. No, are you playing with me? Has this kind of shield? I'm riding a horse. My mentality is a bit broken. At this time, number 2 and number 1 finally felt what despair was. They know how powerful the hyena missile is. How much life energy can the pentagram sculpture on Liberty absorb? Even if number 3 is inferior to them in strength, he has digested the energy provided by a lot of sacrifices. With the blessings of these 2, it would be a bit inappropriate to say that even your shield can't be broken. No. Could it be that the technology of the Dragon Kingdom can really match the civilization of the interstellar level? Then, haven't we all done useless work? In the control room of Red Dragon number 1, Xinghu is broadcasting the data just now. Warn. The damage degree of the shield reaches 60%, the degree of damage reaches 70%, the energy has rebounded, but some of the energy has overflowed and is accelerating the damage to the shield. Xu Teng listened to Xinghu's report with a blank expression, but in fact there was still a little bit of turbulence in his heart. Pen Fun Library. This tightrope walk is really dangerous. If you are not careful, you will go to the other extreme. However, with Xinghu's powerful computing power, and Xu Teng's extraordinary courage, everything is within the controllable range of the plan. The remaining two people on the opposite side were on the verge of mental breakdown, and the appearance of the last shield was the last straw that broke the camel's back. Did you see that? Your long-planned suicide attack. In fact, that's all. I can't even break my shield. Academician Xu, we have already arrived. Through the big screen of Xinghu, it has been able to see the Mark Sanctioner Mecha warriors appearing around the Red Dragon number 1. This was the final closing moment that Xu Teng had planned. Handsome or not, is a lifetime thing, not to mention this kind of behavior that can combat the opponent's arrogance. Well, the finishing work will be left to you. If you can catch them alive, try to catch them alive. There is still a certain value in them, as long as, before he could finish speaking, he saw a violent explosion from the last two Liberty ships. Xu Teng was taken aback for a moment, and then he understood through the addition of the pentagram, it is indeed the source of power. With this as the cornerstone, many scientific research achievements that the Dragon Kingdom cannot do today can be achieved. However, the cost is also clear. If it fails, it will either be the nourishment needed for the evolution to become a high priest, or it will be solved remotely in front of everyone looking at the flying debris. Xu Teng said, collect some of the scattered fragments, some of them have reference value. Xinghu can help you identify. Clear. Only at this point did Xu Teng withdraw from the state of advanced mecha power. A feeling of tiredness surged up, and I guessed that it was the first time I faced this kind of embarrassing battle. Mental power was consumed in such a large amount. Xinghu, go back to Methyl Land. There is still some research to be done. Clear. At this moment, the Sanctioner fighters who were collecting debris above the atmosphere stopped and saluted Xu Teng, who was leaving. No one expected that things would end up like this. The earliest and strongest group of space fighters known as Blue Star was born and went to the Dragon Country with great fanfare. Even the beginning of the global live broadcast was accompanied by a series of arrogant subtitles. The gap between civilizations and the gap in hard power between technologies cannot be filled by mouth. In fact, the High Priest did attest to it, but it has become a classic example. Say the harshest words and suffer the most painful beatings. Who would have thought that 5 space fighters, which symbolize Blue Star's most powerful combat power, would go there? But from the moment the live broadcast started, there was no benefit at all, not to mention that the coastal city was bombed, and even casualties were not achieved, not to mention performing their classic tradition in atmosphere, live beats, 1 hot 5, and the result didn't even break other people's shields. Will not play. Really, I can do it. Chapter 424 Temporary Peace. Just when the global audience began to breathe fragrance, the most angry was the High Priest. I never expected that the final result of the matter would be that they were all annihilated. How hard it was at first, how embarrassing it is now. The Blue Star's first batch of sky fighters, and the interstellar civilization, promised to be crushed. Result, that's it. In fact, when the God of Death transmitted the technology, he specifically mentioned it. When the civilization fleet attached to me comes, I don't want to see the Dragon Kingdom still on the Blue Star. As a god, he is also very vengeful. There has never been such a thing in conquering other civilizations. The final result of a strong invasion was to perform a global live broadcast and be beaten. If you can't do it, I think it's time to recycle the ability given to you. In the eyes of outsiders, the High Priest is nothing but the same. When facing the God of Death still in the lowest position before, the High Priest had not put the Dragon Kingdom in his eyes, although the previous few times he was in a state of being beaten. But, in the cognition of the High Priest, the Dragon Kingdom has always won by means of sneak attacks if it is impossible to win. The level of science and technology is definitely not as high as that of a beautiful country. After all, there is also an interstellar civilization behind the former. But now to see, everything is a little bad. It seems that the biggest enemy is not a beautiful country that has been fighting against him. Instead, Xu Teng, who has been developing silently. As the saying goes, the enemy of the enemy is the friend. Or, just as the High Priest rubbed his chin in thought, the voice intelligently prompted, there is a call from beautiful country, pretty country. At first, he was stunned, and then he understood. Connect in. Okay, hey. When the High Priest just opened his mouth, the other side had already spoken. Sure enough, it was just as I guessed. The civilizations they rely on are all interstellar level civilizations, and they are all affiliated civilization level civilizations, although they are temporarily rivals with each other. However, the performance of Red Dragon number 1 today is really outstanding and shocking. If this continues, Xu Teng will have new time to study technology. Who is the final winner? I can see at a glance out after all, 1 fights 5. Which is really not something ordinary people have the guts to do. In particular, the Sanctuary Mecha team that appeared last. The dark shell is painted, just standing there. It can show the meaning of chill or a whole team. In the afternoon, everyone noticed something strange in the past. The beautiful country was very high profile, and I wished everyone knew about it. We went to fight the high priest. We are the righteous army. But this time, after the operation of the Red Dragon #1 was over, the beautiful country, the most high-profile country, fell silent, and did not even issue a statement of condemnation. What beats the underdogs? Are we that kind of people? Absolutely not. We are peace-loving friends. The strange calm often symbolizes the omen before the storm. The internet also started to boil. Surprised, a certain country that has always been a high-profile country has no fart anymore. It should be frightened by the strength displayed by the Red Dragon #1, that's for sure. To be honest, before Akademician Su defeated them, I would never believe that Akademician Su could achieve such a level. If you want me to say, a real man should join the army, serve the motherland, and kill the enemy, yes, instead of decals on the mirror, Leon said. So cool. Don't get excited first, let me make a prediction. That is there a possibility that from now on, the beautiful country and the high priest will unite to engage us? This sentence is like a bomb that instantly detonated on the internet. Everyone is on the Blue Star, which is logically impossible, but, as a native of Blue Star, he took refuge in the Death God civilization. Some gossip broke out that the beautiful country has become a subsidiary civilization of an interstellar civilization. If it is judged in this way, it seems that it is really possible. Gan, no way, but judging from the progress of things, everything is possible. In any case, there are never permanent enemies between countries, only permanent interests at this time. Xu Teng ignored the boiling comments on the internet. In fact, when he drove the Red Dragon #1 and appeared in everyone's field of vision, what happened next? He had expected the two opposing warring states will definitely stop the war. This is followed by a series of peace talks, and while Xu Teng is seen as the enemy of unity, the civilization behind them all hope to use Blue Star as the back garden of the subsidiary civilization. Xu Teng would never agree to such a thing. At the same time, even in terms of scientific research, their scientific research development is no weaker than the other two civilizations. You have to fight anyway. Your initial goal was not to make Blue Star survive. Well, then let you guys understand who is the last ruler of Blue Star. From the moment he learned that they had taken refuge in the interstellar civilization, Xu Teng had also been planning to wipe out all the refugees of these two civilizations because, to compete with the Death God's fleet, it must develop into an interstellar civilization. And the interstellar war, and the surface war on the planet, there is a world of difference. Both resource and human consumption are huge, of course. This cannot be done simply by relying on the strength of a country. It is only with the resources of the entire Blue Star that this war can be supported, of course. Maybe it's not just about Blue Star. The surrounding galaxies are also needed to provide resources. The defense line of the solar system is not just a blueprint in speculation, it is the engineering construction that Xu Teng is thinking about. The integration of these resources will inevitably face the obstacles of two civilizations. If so, hit it. The global popularity of Red Dragon 1 is also the premise for Xu Teng to implement these plans. Being low-key cannot bring long-term stability. Showing your strength from time to time is the safest way. Xinghu, call up the actual combat data of Red Dragon #1. Okay, an item-by-item data list appears at the top of the screen, with Xinghu's assessment below it. The evaluation of each data, in the end, is excellent. Issue the data drawings to researchers so that they can become familiar with the development of Red Dragon #1 as soon as possible. At the same time, distribute the images of the battle to all the Sanctioner Mecha warriors. Do your best to revive the two Sanctioner Mecha warriors in the seaside city. The data obtained from Xinghu, when they used their bodies to hard connect the hyena missiles, their physical fitness was a breakthrough. Promoted to elementary mecha power. Their actual combat experience, as well as their feelings after breaking through, are very effective for all Sanctioner Mecha warriors. I don't know how long this short-lived peace can last. Chapter 425. The wormhole experiment was successful. As orders were passed out, the whole country was mobilized. It is not a secret in the army that the beautiful country has become a civilized vassal of the kingdom of Mandu. Everybody knows because of this. Everyone has the same idea as Akademician Su, his grandmas. Everyone is from Blue Star, born and raised. How come they all become balls and traitors? I can't wait to sell all of Blue Star. If you want me to tell you, you have to fight. Let them know that you dare to touch Blue Star and give it a try. That is, some people are really too servile. They admit defeat before they start fighting. What about planetary civilization? It doesn't take time for other people's cosmic fleets to come over. With this time, why not develop yourself? It's okay to beat them. Anyway, all those who are not loyal to Blue Star will be wiped out. The labor and management have long wanted to give them a slap. Most of the other people who didn't speak had the same idea. War is not the best solution to conflict, but sometimes war is the most effective solution to conflict. Everything went as Xu Teng had expected, and Blue Star began to live in a brief period of peace. There was also a global live broadcast yesterday, and the fight was overwhelming, but at the moment, everyone seems to have discussed it, and the collective does not speak. Those who didn't believe that the beautiful Congress and the High Priest were mixed up before also gradually understood the situation. Everyone is thinking, cannot get a mission. Xu, who has never let them down, really lead everyone to resist the joint encirclement and suppression of the two civilizations. At this time, secret bases are built in the secret corners of the country. The construction speed of the Dragon Kingdom is the fastest in the world, especially in the face of this kind of national disaster-level disaster. Everyone held a sigh of relief and united. Some workers were tired and took a break to pick up the water handed over by the other party. Hey, you said, can the defense line of the solar system that Ekata mission Xu mentioned really be established? That's not. Look at what we usually fly over our heads. At this moment, a red fighter jet came out from the horizon, followed by a group of mecha warriors. These are all newly created. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, who would have believed it? It took so long to create this thing. The middle-aged man with white hair on his temples kept sighing. Then, stretch your body and say firmly, the inheritance of the Dragon Kingdom has existed for more than 5,000 years. We can't let the inheritance be cut off in our generation. That's right. That's right. We used to fight foreign invaders, but now our generation has started to fight alien invaders. If I can drive the mecha, even if I die in the universe, I will close my eyes. Unlike the High Priest and the beautiful country, when I hear that there is an interstellar civilization stronger than them that will invade in the future, the first thought was not to retreat, but to fight hard, just like what happened in History Mechanism, in the laboratory. Xu Teng was listening to Xinghu's report. During this period of time, with the successful experiences of Yuan Wei and Chen Yuang, they were continuously promoted in depth. In every city, there have been sanctioned warriors who can awaken the power of primary mechas. At first, I heard the analysis report of intermediate mecha power. Xu Teng is thinking, since the power of the mecha requires pure spiritual power to stimulate it, that can also be tempered in actual combat. In fact, it does, but at a slightly higher price. Only when you're on the edge of life and death, and your belief at that moment has reached a most intense level, can it be stimulated. This approach is indeed correct. Some of the warriors have been awakened without interruption at the same time. Xinghu is still recording their different data at different times. In this way, the entire awakening method has become scientific. The Sanctioner mecha has completely entered mass production. To meet the needs of the troops, the Sanctioner mecha team has been prepared. Red Dragon number 1 has entered mass production. Production capacity is gradually improving. The newly approved base has been established. The production equipment is on the way, and the whole process is monitored in the background. It is expected that the new base will be successfully established tomorrow, and the production of Honglong number 1 will be doubled. With the growth of time, Xinghu's artificial intelligence has truly become the strongest artificial intelligence on Blue Star. All information processing can be handed over to it at the same time. ANSI released by Xinghu has secretly raised some levels. It stands to reason that the amount of important information intercepted should be doubled, but, that is, the moment when the beautiful country and the High Priest stopped fighting. Xu Teng found something unexpected. Less and less information is being transmitted over the internet. Xu Teng can still understand the civilization on the High Priest side. After all, the technological civilization of Pentagram and the local technology of Blue Star are diametrically opposite. But, why does the beautiful country change into another situation? Inferring from probability, the beautiful country and the High Priest should have entered a deeper level of cooperation. The High Priest sent a part of God's chosen people to the beautiful country, relying on spiritual power to transmit. Xinghu's speculation is not unfounded. On the contrary, it is precisely because the priest sent by the High Priest was caught in a certain late night and communicated with a beautiful country. It can only be inferred based on what happened next. If that's the case, the situation is getting more and more tense. Maybe it's going to be a fight in the next moment. Just when Xu Teng muttered to himself, "Ding dong," a sudden sound caught Xu Teng's attention. Looking at the bell under his feet, he fell into confusion. Where did this come from? It seems that I have never brought this kind of thing back. And many more. Ringing the bell, Xu Teng seemed to remember something. His eyes brightened. The materials have been successfully transported. The manipulator in the house started up and picked up the bell in the ground. One after another of infrared rays began to ring the bell for molecular structure analysis. Appearance judgment in progress. The analysis results are out. There is no damage when the bell is pressed, and the small wormhole experiment was successfully transported. This is Xu Teng's ongoing wormhole transport experiment. That time, in a decisive battle with the Liberty in the atmosphere, Xu Teng was shooting down the opponent's pilot once ordered Xinghu to invade the other party's network. A series of information was obtained in it. Among them are the sacrificial use of the pentagram, and some wormhole information. The original plan of the High Priest was, after defeating Xu Teng, let Liberty go back immediately to execute the plan to fly and jump through the wormhole only. After that, it will never return, and provided some key inspiration for Xu Teng's experiment. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.